Video. All right. Hey guys, surprise! We have a stream. All of a sudden, it was completely out of left field, but
yeah, just the two of us today.
Yeah.
And possibly some of our patrons, although we'll try to make sure that they keep on topic.
Yeah.
Keep on topic.
Stay on topic.
Stay on topic. Stay on topic. So
hey,
yeah.
Sorry guys, I had to leave and come back.
Okay, well we are live now, so if you're gonna pipe up, be careful. Like write what you want to say down first, and be very concise. So let us explain what this is all about. This surprise nerdcast or Ermahgerd.
So I was looking around in various sort of Gamergate Facebook page spaces, and as a comic artist and someone who's just believes in the freedom of expression for artists everywhere, regardless as to what you do. I'm often sort of like looking out for stuff like this. So there's this woman named Kate Leth, or Kate Leth, and she is a comic artist. She's a Canadian comic book creator, best known for her works such as Adventure Time, Seeing Red, Bravest Warriors, and Edward Scissorhands. And as of this year, she started writing this new Patsy Walker, aka Hellcat comic for Marvel and Vampirella. So she has, and like her website, I believe, is like Queers, Cats, and Dames or something like that. And she's been making sort of these passive-aggressive comics that are trying to essentially criticize the industry as it is, okay? So I want to show you guys something, and this kind of it annoyed me because when I read this, well, let's go through it first, and I'll tell you what I did. So she made this comic via Comics Alliance. Comics Alliance presents Kate or Die, that's Kate Leth, in Boo, Get Ready to Be Spooked.
Was this after she blocked you?
This was, I found this before she blocked me, and then I tried to talk to her on Twitter, and then she blocked me. Get ready to get spooked with these Halloween horror what-ifs. Now, normally I would be annoyed by this stuff because, again, it's just so childish and unprofessional. A way to do things. Even in the comics industry, I believe that a level of professionalism is warranted. That you would expect it. But so here she is, essentially doing all of her personal little gripes. So what are her horror what ifs? They finally cast the Doctor Strange movie. Robin Thicke announced for titular role in upcoming film. We wanted someone people respected. So this is her saying, I hate Robin Thicke. I think he's sexist. Whatever. He's trash. And if he gets to be in a movie that that would be a part of my culture, I would be very upset. That's essentially what she's saying. Then the next panel is Marvel announces Milo Manara cover for the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, and then she has a really poorly drawn picture of Squirrel Girl in what appears to be the Milo Manara Spiderwoman butt pose. I'll try to address that later. And this is, of course, in my opinion, Squirrel Girl is like one of those sacred cows of feminist comic readers. They love her because she looks like Lena Dunham. Now, she didn't before. And she's, I guess, made by girls for girls or something. I don't know. Like they do this weird thing where they say this is ours, even though it existed for decades before, and they try to take ownership of it. So I think that's one of the reasons why this is of particular spookiness to her, Halloween horror or whatever. All of your number ones have like the weird gunk that sticks gift cards to envelopes in them. All right, whatever. That's just, I guess she's trying to be funny, and it just isn't. San Diego Comic-Con confirms Men in Comics panel. It would, and there's a picture of a man in a flannel shirt saying it would just be nice to get some recognition. And of course, this to her is terrifying, that there would be a Men in Comics panel. Oh,
Well,
I
or
know
maybe
you
she's
want to say
making fun of the idea that that would be terrifying. I don't know. No, because I can't really be that like giving her the benefit of the doubt since she sort of blocked you for no apparent reason. I'm
yeah.
sure that I mean, just I guess you harassed her as a man of color, asking a white woman, "Hey, would you like to come on my show?" I guess that's basically like asking her to blow you or something.
Yeah,
Because
pretty much. That was it was a cat call.
you have to add the brown points. You know, if you're a white guy asking, "What is this woman's name, Kate?" onto his show, it would just be like maybe mild harassment. But because you are Latino, it of course escalates into a form of sexual violence. So she had
Yeah.
to block you. I'm being an asshole, really,
No,
right
no,
now.
I'm gonna be an asshole too because she was needlessly an asshole to me. I'm, you know what I'm gonna do though is I'm gonna look at her ideas and expose how bad they
Yeah,
are as they
yeah.
are. So she finds the idea that there would be a San Diego Comic-Con Men in Comics panel terrifying, terrifying.
Well,
Okay.
maybe spooky. Let's not put words in her mouth.
Well,
She finds it spooky.
well, if we go back up here, it says Halloween. Get ready to get spooked with these Halloween horror what ifs.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. But it is spooked technically. The
Yeah, I
event
guess.
there is spooked. So, I mean, you can. I don't know. Maybe give her some benefit of the doubt when she says spooked that she means spooked. But why is that spooky? I'd actually be really interested in that. Because, to be quite honest, part of the reason why female characters are so damn boring is because they have so much baggage. And we there's way like when people say or when what was it Joss Whedon said the reason why I write strong female characters, which you don't, Joss, but whatever. The reason why I write strong female characters, which you don't, Joss, but whatever. The reason why I write strong female characters. Okay, I think I'm in the loop here.
Yeah, we got to get you out of that.
All right, sorry. The reason why I write strong female characters is something that Joss Whedon says, and he says it because people ask him that question. And I'm like, well, you know, the way I would answer that question is, what about writing strong male characters? You know, you ask about writing strong female characters, but you never talk about what makes a strong male character. You just presume that a male character has strength. And what does that really tell you about your implicit assumptions about gender if you just assume that a male character is strong? Huh?
Mm-hmm.
The automatic presumption is a female character is weak and a male character is strong. So maybe male characters aren't being written in a strong way, like or as a fully well-rounded, interesting character. Like we don't ask that because it's just presumed that whatever is happening to male characters is respectful. Maybe not. So I mean, this Men in Comics panel would be interesting to me. It'd be interesting to sort of even out the strong character baggage so that it's on both male and female characters, which will probably make, you know, lifting some of that baggage off will allow people to write more interesting female characters and more interesting male characters. But, you know, we never consider that.
No.
But we find that spooky.
Yeah.
The thought we could actually look at male characters as not being respectful or strong towards men. Like, oh my God, men might be a victim of representation in media. Now, I don't really necessarily totally buy into that concept, but the idea that men might be just as much victimized by representations in media as women, men as victims, this must be truly terrifying to Kate, because that's just, I mean, that just is like it's almost like transgender, you know? Like, I mean, could you imagine being Kate, defining herself as a victim, women as victims, and then something presents the idea that a man could be a victim? That means be like, it just must be horrible. I can just see her eyes in the final panel. Oh my God, men, this isn't right because that's not the kind of quality men have. Men aren't like that. Men can't be victims. Oh my God, it's horrifying. I mean, this is like this is like the response of a deeply, deeply conservative person. Those eyes are the eyes of a deeply, deeply conservative person being presented with someone who bucks the gender norm. Those are the eyes.
Yeah.
Those are the eyes of a Southern Baptist looking at a drag queen. You see it? Do you see it? Those are those eyes.
The blue ones, then the bottom, the screen.
Yeah, where she's drawing herself.
Yeah. Yes, and
those are the eyes of like a blue-haired lady, you know, like in a fundamentalist church, looking at the gays. Oh my God, it's not.
Gotta cure them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pray for you tonight.
I pray for you tonight.
Yes. I'm gonna pray for you tonight, gay
okay,
men.
I'll get off my soapbox.
No, that's fine. The thing about the Men in Comics panel, she's trying to make the assertion that being the idea that there would be a Men in Comics panel in existence is absurd because there's no need for men to talk about their experiences as being men in comics for them as a gender. And then she has this like bearded, you know, kind of dude bro-y hipster guy saying it would just be nice to get some recognition. The fact is, men in comics, as the same as men in most other spaces, most other places, are not given recognition based on the fact that they are men. Nobody gives recognition to men just because penis. They only do it because they're good at what they do. When people remember the guy, when I'm going to stick with comics just for this. When people talk about Todd McFarlane or Jim Lee or the Eric Larson or Willis Portacio or any of these other guys, you know, or Milo Manara or Frank Cho, they're not talking about them or praising them just because they are men that happen to be making comics. They praise them because they're really good at what they do, because they like their work. Nobody ever said, you know what my favorite thing about Jack Kirby is? His dick, because he has one. No. People like Jack Kirby because they like his work. This is the difference. Kate thinks, for some reason, that men are being given credence in comics, that they dominate the industry because their penises make them dominate the industry. And therefore, the idea that men would want to talk about them being men in comics is crazy to her, because this is what she wants recognition for. She wants to be recognized as a woman that makes comics, not a woman that's good at making comics, not even a person that's good at making comics or making art or whatever. It's all about her gender. That's the only fucking that's her only requirement. Be a woman and make comics. Because obviously, this is not a good example of her ability. I mean, if this is her art, I know that she can do better, but Jesus. I mean, what the fuck happened to the industry? People used to have to be good at what they did. Now our standards are so low. It's unbunbelievable.
Well, let's be fair. Like, this is probably for comedic effect. I assume that her other work is considerably better.
I'll try to find some.
Okay, just try to find some, and we'll make the decision then. Because I don't want to judge her based on something that's intended. Because like, if you judge me based on the crazy shit that I've drawn, like Wiener Dog, like during the time that I was basically like the graphic designer for the patriarchal party candidate in Canada.
Yeah.
I was drawing wiener dogs, badly drawn wiener. Oh yes, that's right. David Futrell described my wiener dog as badly drawn, so I ended up drawing a really badly drawn wiener dog. I'm like, because and the reason why I was drawing badly drawn wiener dogs was because part of the patriarchal party platform was to basically make all animals, all domesticated animals, resemble the phallic wiener dog model. And of course the feminists, when they got hold of because Nick Redding, who is a patriarchal party candidate, actually did run in his riding, but when the feminists got hold of it, they thought that this was like that we were running this seriously. That we were advocating these issues seriously. They even tried to get Nick Redding arrested for running in his riding. And I think I wish I was a fly on the wall when they talked to the cops of that one. Because if you're trying to get somebody arrested for running for to be an MLA, no, that you can't do that. It's actually perfectly legal to do that, and it's a public campaign. He's not doing anything behind closed doors because it's a public campaign. But yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't want to be judged by how I drew those badly drawn wiener dogs, because you know, guys, this is from the patriarchy party. We really need to make our domestic animals resemble phalluses, all of them. all of them need to resemble phalluses and wiener dogs. Like
Yes.
horses are sort of already there, but we could make them longer. And we could also make cows longer. Could you imagine long cows? You know? That would be awesome.
Lol cows.
Yeah, but long cows, eh? Yes. This is something that needs to be done. It's obviously the plumpness and the roundness of the cow is obviously a reflection of our matriarchal society and our obsession with wombs. So we need to make a cow that is extended, like a long lol cow. And imagine the greater amount of steak we could get out of that. You know, a sausage cow, which is also turned into sausage.
So I'm
there you go.
I'm going through her website, and this is her website.
Okay, does she have a gallery? Because I don't want to judge her by the comics that are intended to be humorous.
All right. I'm going to try and find the absolute best shit that she has. All right, so she's got, this is her, I guess, webcomic thing. Let's go to kateleth.com, I guess. See, I don't want to go to her Tumblr because I'm afraid that if I do, there'll be like weird fucking porn on there because that shit just randomly pops up. So,
yeah, Tumblr is Tumblr is a hive of fucked up porn and feminism.
Yeah, exactly.
And usually the two are very much intersecting.
Yeah, you just want to be careful to just go to somebody's Tumblr that could just be like.
Well, speaking
we can get our video taken down immediately.
I did want to talk today at some point about what happened to Koo. Because speaking of porn.
Yes, yeah, but we can totally bring that up.
Okay, so this.
I don't know if because she's a writer and an artist.
So you don't know if those are actually.
Maybe.
Okay, yeah, there we go, variant covers. So let's take a look.
All right. If they're gonna let me look at it.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, gross. That's not her. That's not her.
Oh well, I was gonna think it's very inspired by either Toulouse-Lautrec or the other one that I forgot. Oh, Gustav Klimt, maybe.
Crap. I don't see a gallery here.
Okay, well.
She's not showing much, but
yeah.
I'm okay. So let's just say that it's somewhere in between what I did find, which is that one comic, and perhaps I don't know, like this bit of Adventure Time art that she made. So, because I can't find much else, and I would go to her Twitter, but I'm blocked. So.
Well, let me do. What's her name again? Kate.
Kate Leth, Leth. It's right
Leth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm just gonna do a search on Kate Leth art. It's got that, I guess, that quality of. It's very Tumblr.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. It's very Tumblr. I mean, it's not bad, but it's really Tumblr. It has all that similar style.
Sure. And, again, I'm not... This isn't really even about just talking about Kate Leth's art. I'm just a little annoyed because you have people that, again, if I go back to this comic here, this Men in Comics panel, when I think of the top comic artists that happen to be male, any male comic artists that are shit, let's just say, like...
well, I mean, she's not shit. She's just...
No.
Maybe, to be honest, Kate Leth, you're sort of... Like, you don't really have your own style, is really the only thing I could say. I mean, you're adequate, but... there's nothing about you screams much more than the median from Tumblr.
Let me think here. What was the guy I was thinking about? Oh, like Liefeld is, for example, one that he gets a lot of shit, right? And
I got something here. I think this is by Kate Leth. Yeah. So we can discuss this as well. We could do a little story time with Doge and discuss this one as well. I just put it through the... Yeah, Rob Liefeld was bizarre.
Right. But the thing is, he didn't go around criticizing other people, right? He didn't talk about how other people should be making their work.
No, yeah, that's the thing. You're talking about
Is this the thing?
Yeah, that's the thing. Just a click. Yeah, and the thing is, we are criticizing Kate Leth's work, and not really criticizing. I mean, it's really, it's not bad. Like that, it's not bad.
My main problem is with her ideas.
Yeah, it's mostly with our ideas, and also that maybe you could just be more of an individual because I could taste the Tumblr on your work. Like I've seen so much of this on Tumblr with a very, very similar style. But anyway, go ahead and click that link.
All right. So Art, this is what I'm looking at it right now. I'm presenting to everyone, I think. Can you guys see this in the chat?
Yes. Well, I can see it. I don't know if probably if we
sure
can see it.
can.
Yeah, they can see it too.
I have experience doing this. All right. So
yeah,
you are experienced.
Responding to the "just don't read it" defense. Oh, the feminists are mad at us again. I don't get it. How can this not be empowering? And there's a cover here that says Ms. President, Queen Bitch of the Oval Office. She's got wild guns and weapons too. The saga continues in this issue, The Hunt for a Man. And then it says here, rated T for tweens. Okay, so right off the bat, this is kind of a misrepresentation. For a couple reasons. First off, I don't know that I've ever heard of this comic, but let's just pretend that that's real.
Well, you know what? Let's just take this right down to brass tacks.
Okay.
Why should any artist have to give a shit about your empowerment? Period.
No, they don't.
Like, they shouldn't, like, right from the get-go, you shouldn't be throwing your moral weight around like a fucking thug. Or what I like to call a moral mercenary, Kate Leth. Why does your empowerment what does it have to do with someone else's artistic vision? Why should these guys even care? Then this is where I would start, is that these comics companies need to start saying, we're not in the business of empowering you, lady. First of all, because we can't empower you. That's the thing, Kate Leth. Other people cannot empower you.
Mm-hmm.
So the basic presumption of this comic is incorrect, and it's unbelievably entitled on the idea from Kate Leth that Marvel or DC or any comics company or any artist or writer has to empower her. Really? I mean, let's imagine the reverse scenario. Let's imagine gender reverse scenario, because feminists hate that, because it's actual equality. Gender reverse scenario. Men strut into some goddamn headquarters of a romance novel, which is one of the biggest fiction markets on the planet, and they start saying, yeah, these romance novels need to be empowering to men. Like, how far do you think they would get before feminists would be screaming about male entitlement? And yet, the very basic premise of this goddamn comic that Kate Leth, the basic premise that she doesn't even question, is the idea that somebody should be serving her empowerment. And get this, Kate, the whole concept that you look for empowerment in other people's actions is so fucked up. Your brain is scrambled. You can't look for empowerment in other people's actions. By definition, empowerment is something you do for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Men cannot empower you. I'm just flashing back to those eyes, those huge eyes at the thought of men doing something other than Kate's expected gender role for them, which is to provide for her, to be strong for her. Oh my God, men can be victims too. My world is crashing down around me. And the thing is that if you look at it from Kate's point of view, if her world crashes around her whenever she sees men's vulnerability, and I'm talking about those huge eyes in her spooky comic. Remember that, Brian?
Yeah, I put them up on the page.
Yeah. Those huge eyes at the thought that men could be vulnerable or men could be victims. It's like, my world is crashing around me. Men are shirking their gender role. Oh, my God. And it's like, you look at that and you're like, think about the mentality behind that. Who gets scared? I mean, basically, Kate Leth, the foundations, the pillars of her world are men. Kate Leth thinks that men can empower her. Kate Leth can't stand the sight of a vulnerable man or the idea that men might be victims of whether or not they are irrelevant, but that men might be victims of how they are presented in media. Just blows her fucking mind. Because Kate Leth is so convinced of her weakness and inferiority as a woman, she cannot conceive of her own actions empowering her. Men must do it. And she cannot conceive of male vulnerability because it's terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when your dad cries when you're 3 years old. It's like, holy fuck, my world is crumbling. Those frightened eyes that Kate Leth has is because she's a child in the body of a woman. And continue.
All right. So let me go back to the other thing. Okay, Ms. President. And this goes back to the thing I was talking about before. I think it was one of the other shows where I asked that question, like, is there a difference between empowerment and essentially sort of inspiration, motivation, self-motivation. Empowerment is waiting for somebody, I think, anyway, at least the way that feminists use it. Empowerment is waiting for somebody else to tell you that you have permission to feel good about yourself as group whatever. Whereas self-motivation, get off your own ass and do it.
I hate to say it to Brian, I'm not going to wait for your approval to feel good about myself.
Right. Exactly.
Sorry, no offense.
No, none taken. All right. Okay, so I don't know why this picture didn't load. It's whatever. I'm sure it was sexist or something. Let me take you on a journey. At the beginning of the DC relaunch, I, along with many others, wrote about the Starfire controversy as well as the starting misogyny present in some of DC's new titles. It was one of the most popular things I've written to date, and I was proud of being a voice in an important conversation. You see, it bothered me, as did DC's dismissive response. Despite that, I felt like we were being heard. Thousands of comments on articles addressing the same topic gave me hope. Outrage is at the ridiculous depiction of women's sexuality felt for a time like it outweighed those who were telling us to calm down and wait until we were off our periods. We had made a stand. I don't know that they actually said that. But...
You mean your moral mercenary army managed to terrify people into compliance?
Yeah.
Like, you fucking thugs, Kate Leth. You're a fucking thug.
Then 2 months later, Harley Quinn basically called her vagina a clown car.
Okay, wait. Could you reload it? Maybe the image will...
Yeah, okay, let's try it. I don't like these websites because it seems like a lot of these fucking shitty-ass websites now, they all look the same, first of all, and they have, like, so many ads, it's fucking insane. This is, like, like the South Park thing.
Maybe try clicking.
It's not loading. What was that?
Click on the art. Click on the art. Maybe you can, or double click, or right click. Sorry,
I right click and it says open image in new tab, and when I do,
you're a PC fag.
Yeah, it gives me this broken image.
Reload from there.
All right, let's try.
Because and if that doesn't work, I'm gonna try opening it.
I'll try to search for it. Harley Quinn clown.
Vagina car. Car vagina.
Let's see if that. Okay.
Oh yeah, there we go. Oh, excellent. So it's probably that one. Okay, so the first thing that I noticed.
This reminds me of a joke about a clown car. I don't see how that's.
I guess she's saying that he's big or something. I think.
Yes, I mean, like, I don't know. Whatever. That's not. So she misrepresented that joke. 2 months later, Harley Quinn basically called her vagina a clown car. No. And oh my God, this fucking passive aggressive shit.
Well then, but I mean,
inference of bad intentions in everyone except herself.
Well, but if Harley Quinn is calling her vagina a clown car, she's calling his penis a clown, or a bunch of clowns, I think.
Or several clowns, yeah.
Or several clowns, which is like, what is your problem with this? What, you can't actually be funny about female genitals?
No,
that's a problem?
Of all characters in DC Comics, Harley Quinn should be the least humorous, apparently.
Yeah, apparently. The only thing I have a problem with is if anybody's ever done, like when I was doing martial arts many, many years ago, we would have to do this thing where it's a different type of like abdominal exercise, and it essentially was you'd have to get into basically the same position. If you show the image again, as that. Brian, can you show the image again?
Let me go to recently closed here. Hold on.
Yeah, because I just want to comment upon it. This is a bit of a digression, but it's interesting to me because I want to comment upon this artwork. Obviously, the people involved who drew this do not know how difficult that position is to maintain. For not necessarily for him, but for her. Like it is, like I've had to get into that. It's not very sexy when you're doing it as a martial arts exercise. But what you do is you have a partner. You have to get up on them like that, grab, basically get them in guard, and then you go backwards and back up. And it is fucking hard. It's fucking hard to just even stay on him, on your partner like that. So it's like that is, to me, that is like the least sexy, least comfortable thing possible.
It is fucking hard.
Yeah, it's fucking hard. Like it is, and you can't really move in a way that is conducive towards any kind of pleasurable sexual activity when you're in that position. I guess the idea is that he's that strong, but then she would also have to be incredibly strong too. But yeah, anyway, that's my.
They only did that for like a moment, and then they got tired and fell in the bed.
Yeah.
And this is just like that moment in time, so.
Yeah, because I've actually had to do that, like because the martial arts that I had, often I was the only woman. I'd actually have to be the guy in that scenario too, and that was not that bad, but it was still pretty hard.
And
then I got laughed at. Whatever it was, like a pairing with a guy and a girl, we would get laughed at.
Oh no! You know what? She's sitting on the. Oh, but right. Okay, never mind.
No, wait. She's sitting. Oh, no, you're right. She's
sitting right here. They should have like made a little shadow or something, but
yeah, that doesn't translate. Okay,
and
this
then,
is crap.
But she's not sitting on this panel, so I guess it's irrelevant. But
no, I guess he's gonna brain her on the fucking thing, like he's proceeding to brain her on.
Yeah, this is where he tries to kill her.
Yes.
But you know what? Okay, so what? This is okay. I'm going to tell you right now. I know why Kate's outraged, and I haven't even read this article yet, but I can tell you right now, she's outraged not because this is happening, but because she likes Harley, and she probably likes Harley because she's a psychotic bitch too. And I know that's totally not an argument, but Harley is one of these characters that feminists say these are like their sacred cows. No pun intended. You're not allowed to make fun of Harley, or Spider-Gwen, or Poison Ivy, or Squirrel Girl, or Ms. Marvel, which is the one that Koo got in trouble for, because those are the feminist icons of comics. No Wonder Woman. There's a couple of other ones. So Harley is one of those you're not supposed to do that to.
They basically pissed on them.
Yeah,
in my territory.
And Starfire too. Even though Harley is, it's a drawing. It's just colors and lines, and they're fictional, and none of these are real, and all that. It doesn't matter. They're so attached to this. Essentially, nostalgia is a platform on which you can make political stances. This is the way that I think people like Kate work. But let me find out if I'm right. Okay. So let me see here. Yeah. Yes, gentlemen who have made it this far, this is another article about equality. If you've taken to rolling your eyes and gearing up a seething comment, hit that backspace button now, because it isn't just about comics. Harley Quinn was a favorite of mine, the standout character from Batman the Animated Series. I loved her as a girl. I loved her maniacal fervor and acrobatic abilities. I was and remain a Cirque du Soleil fanatic, and she seemed like a villain straight out of that ethereal world. As I got older, I became fascinated with her abusive relationship with the Joker and loved writers who delved into the pathos behind loving a madman. Was she brilliant? Was she a master manipulator? Was he just a hopeless sap for a man in pancake makeup? What I never see, I told you. It's one of those you're not supposed to. It's like there's these fictional. They're saints. They're like these. They're like the apostles of feminism. Like these fictional characters. You're not supposed to take their name in vain. And even if you're not actually taking their name in vain, You're just like, well, I want to tell the story, and we're gonna go in this direction. It's funny because before the Batman the Animated Series, Harley Quinn did not exist in the comics. She was created by Bruce Timm, a man, and Paul Dini, another man, to be a character in that series because they wanted to do essentially a foil for Robin. So when they had Batman and Robin, you had the Joker and Harley Quinn. It was supposed to be balanced out like that. And they decided that because that why not make them in a relationship or something like a relationship or something dysfunctional. And they had a lot of fun with it, and it was actually because of the popularity of Harley Quinn in the animated series that DC Comics decided to put her in the books. So this is sort of like, it's a response to that, and she is fascinated with something because of my childhood. But that's fine to have that, but you're taking this way too far, lady. Okay, so let me see here. What I never saw her was, even in her darkest hours, was a prop. Harley was a fascinating character, different from so many others in that she didn't fall neatly into either half of the virgin/slut divide.
Okay, but now she's basically a slut, according to here. I'm gonna just mute you, friend. Now she's basically a slut because she referred to her vagina as a clown car, which incidentally is something that the character probably would do. Oh, for fuck's sake! What the hell is with this echo? Okay.
I don't know. It's not me, is it?
Yeah, it is you. It is you, Brian. It's all your fault. But but now she is apparently she falls into the feminist definition of slut. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess that. Well, go on, Brian.
Oh, I guess feminists do get to decide who a slut is and who isn't. Interesting. Okay, so she was loyal to a fault, desperate and in love, but crafty and vicious. Her friendship with Poison Ivy made both villains more interesting and multidimensional. Was I reading too much into a cartoon? Of course, I was 12. That's what kids do. Actually, no, kids don't usually do that.
No, and what the hell are you doing now? What's your excuse now?
Yeah, right. Are you still 12?
Maybe just mentally.
I think so.
Yes.
So you can tell a tween girl that if she doesn't like Harley the Juggalo, she doesn't have to read the comic. That's fine. If you think that that's the solution. But the thing is...
Oh my god! Passive-aggressive thuggery off the charts!
I know.
Oh, geez, my passive-aggressive meter is going beep, 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 beep. Jesus!
But the thing is, kids are inundated with media, as with the 7-year-old girl who was upset by Starfire's reincarnation. So would be a teenager excited to see her favorite clown princess in a new comic book, only to find her morphed into just another sex object. One less star to wish on, one less interesting woman, just another music video starlet in heavy coal and tiny shorts. It's more than just updating a character for an edgier world. It's telling another subsection of girls that being clever isn't enough.
Oh, bullshit. Go fuck yourself. Seriously, feminists are the worst for this virgin-slut dichotomy. So what if Carly's sexuality is more in front? That doesn't make her any less intelligent or vicious or manipulative. Jesus fucking Christ! You're the ones who are saying that once a woman becomes or sexualizes herself and explores her sexuality, suddenly all of her other virtues slide off into the trash can. And instead of just being a intelligent, manipulative, vicious villain who's also sexy, she suddenly just becomes a sex object. You need to heal yourself, Kate. You seriously need to heal yourself. Yeah, if
feminist, heal thyself.
Yeah, if they want to actually do Harlequin for adults, it's probably going to be more sexy, and she's probably going to become a sexual being.
She's probably going to hate the Suicide Squad movie, since they got one of the sexiest women in Hollywood today to play Harley Quinn, and I'm sorry, but it's true. I mean, Margot Robbie is gonna. That's a badass woman.
Yeah, but I have to mute you again. But it's like, you are doing this. You are creating the virgin whore slut dichotomy, or you are actually creating the human sexual object dichotomy. Here's a news flash. Harley Quinn is both. Unless you can't just show an image of her looking sexy and say, oh my god, she's now reduced down to a sex object. Has every other aspect of her being, her dark humor, which would actually be indicated she still has it because of the clown car vagina comment. Is her viciousness, is her has any of that been reduced in presenting her sexuality more? My guess would be no. And you certainly haven't proven the idea that in the process of presenting Harley Quinn's sexuality, putting to the forefront, they have reduced her other characteristics, her personality. This doesn't prove your point. Putting an image of Harley Quinn looking sexy does not prove your point that they have removed her personhood. All it's proven is that because you see Harley Quinn being sexy, you have removed her personhood. You have decided that that has become her most salient characteristic. You are creating the virgin slut dichotomy yourself, Kate Leth, and nobody ever calls you out. Because for some fucked up reason, feminists get to say they advocate for equality but never get judged whether they advocate for equality. So they can do shit like this. They can perpetuate a virgin slut dichotomy based on feminist theory, and no woman can call them out for their bullshit and their misogyny because, oh my god, feminists can never be misogynist because they're always advocating for equality. Because they get to not just advocate for equality, they get to define what equality is. So you end up with shit like this. Kate Leth dehumanizing Harley Quinn, and nobody calls her out on this bullshit.
Mm-hmm. And to go back to, this is another thing too, what she seems to be calling for is what feminists often call for, is that they want the whole world to rearrange itself around according to their impossible fucking standards. So she thinks, oh, there was a 7-year-old girl that was upset by Starfire's reincarnation. I don't know what that means. But the Starfire character was on a cartoon show called Teen Titans, where they were drawn in a very, very kid-friendly way. But that was a recent, sort of like early 2000s, I think, I didn't really watch it, incarnation. But those characters have existed since the 80s, and back then they were drawn much more like what teenagers really look like, developed and having either going through or gone through puberty. This is the way they were drawn. So when an artist is, and this is like from the 80s, so when an artist draws Starfire today, he draws her in the way that she appeared in the comics because that's the way she appears in the comics. The cartoon version is its own canon, it's its own animal, completely. And this woman is upset because the guy or girl, I don't know, what, the artist was probably male. I know that Adam Hughes recently got a lot of shit for drawing Starfire, and he draws attractive women. That's like one of his things, kind of like Frank Cho. He just drew them the way that she appears in the comics, which is different from the cartoon version. It's actually, the funny thing is that what Kate is saying is that the cartoon version is canon because it's friendlier to girls, even though the comic version is actually the original version. And it's actually far older, like 20 or 30 years older.
And
meanwhile, what?
She's also presuming that that's friendlier to girls or women, I suppose.
Yeah,
I mean, because
she thinks it's friendlier. Well, she also assumes something really interesting too. A lot of feminists do this in comics too. They often talk about, because if you go back up to the top of if I go back to the top of the article, okay, with the Miss President thing, she puts this thing here, rated T for tweens. This is not a little blurb that she's throwing in there for funsies. This is another part of her overall message, is that these comics are aimed at tweens, which are girls that, technically comics are for ages 12 and up, okay? So tweens begins at 12. But boys read comics at ages 12 and up also, if not earlier. I was reading comics when I was like 9. And, but often the themes in them are rated, for 12 and up. Now, what she's trying to say is that a lot of these girls are too young and their eyes are too I don't know, like they're just too soft and delicate that they can't handle sexualized imagery because they're only 12, OMG. But the thing is that boys are reading these comics too, and they're not really affected by it. Again, this is going back to that media affects children, specifically, boys in a negative way because it makes them into terrible people somehow, and girls in a negative way because it makes them into hopeless, weak, spineless creatures that can't stand to, like, essentially, they're going to read this and they're going to become anorexic and they're going to start, vomiting up their food because they want to look like that, and all that shit.
The best treatment for eating disorders is often therapy for depression, because it's more self-medicating, because you actually get sort of a physical high when you starve yourself or when you vomit. Mm-hmm. So it's like they really should stop appropriating mental health issues for their bullshit, feminists. Like, just stop that, because you're making it worse.
If a girl is prone to behave, like basically exhibit bulimic or anorexic behavior, it's not because she read a comic book. In the same way that a boy is not going to shoot up a school because he plays Doom. If that's going to happen, if there is another thing at work, and the comics or the media that they're consuming is just sort of, it's not even a symptom of it, it's just something that they are either attracted to or they're into at the time, where we're correlating the wrong things, essentially. And I don't pretend to be a psychologist, but I know that there are studies that have already come out that said, media does not affect behavior. We've had this conversation, at least not in the way that these people try to imply. So when you say, she's gonna, I don't even want to know if I want to go through all this, but she says, see, when you're a girl and you think for yourself, you start looking for whatever strong role models you can find. The first sentence doesn't make sense. When you're a girl and you think for yourself, you're not looking for role models because you think for your fucking self.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
but she doesn't realize that she's promoting this notion of the invulnerable boy and the vulnerable girl. And that in and of itself, that actually is more harmful than sexy Harley Quinn. Like, she self-contradicts within one goddamn sentence. Just like you were saying, Brian, if you're thinking for yourself, what?
Yeah.
You start looking for whatever strong role models you can find? What, so... Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, you're like the definition of a sheep. If you're not thinking for yourself, if you're going to get your ideas from external sources, that means that you're looking for something to parrot. That means you're literally not thinking for yourself. That's the opposite of that. Oh my God.
All right, keep going.
All right. Well, anyway, superheroes, TV stars, politicians, what have you, women in positions of power who command respect. They become your hope. Case in point. When I was 9, Buffy the Vampire Slayer debuted, and it defined my adolescence.
Oh my God.
Oh,
this is a millennial.
Or Joss Whedon shit, by the way.
Yeah, he doesn't write strong female characters, but regardless.
I
just wanted to comment on this.
Okay.
As a woman who actually thinks for herself to possibly a pathological degree, and I gotta mute you again, Brian. Or no, the echo went away. I never really looked to women in particular for a role model, aside from when I was really young and I really loved Wonder Woman. I look to anyone who's undergone something, who's done something or experienced something impossible and not responded to it as a victim, not looked at an impossible situation and simply saw what they could do. That's what I took as role models, male or female. And I don't like why to insist that that has to be modeled. And I don't even know if Kate understands what the fuck I'm talking about when I say when you look at an impossible situation and all you do is see what you can do, the next thing that you can do to achieve your goal. I don't even know if she understands what I'm talking about. I never needed to see that in a woman because I never saw agency as defined by men. I never saw it like I never saw when I saw men experiencing that or demonstrating that kind of strength. I never saw that in terms of excluding me from also following that model because I don't see, like I don't see, I see the humanity in it, not the masculinity in it. And it seems like you've got such a hard demarcation between male and female that you can't see the humanity in the agency, that's a human quality that you can also have. All you can see is that it's tagged masculine and somehow that excludes you. And I think that's a problem with your perception, Kate Leth, not anyone else's. Anyway, go ahead. Ooh, sorry. Let me help you there, Brian.
Going on?
Yeah, no, I muted you, but then I unmuted you because of the echo.
Okay, I was muted. You know, I was just thinking, when I was a kid, I had heroes too that I looked up to, but it was never because they were men, or women for that matter. I don't remember ever reading a comic or watching a film or watching a show where a man made a moral point or tried to deliver some kind of a moral message and started the sentence with "as a man." That never never happened. I've never seen it. Like there's nothing about that, not that I can recall. I don't remember Superman ever saying, "As a man, this is what I think." He's always said these are if there are principles or morals to be discussed, they exist outside of the boundary of things like identity. They're bigger than that, So take that for what it is. And plus, maybe I was just lucky enough to have a real life, flesh and blood person, my father, that I could talk to, and my mother, for that matter, that I could also get some of these ideas from. I wonder, Kate, if you have people like that, like real people, like warm-blooded people, and not fictional characters made by people who may also lack warm-blooded people in their life. Okay, so anyway.
Are you insulting Joss?
Well, I don't know Joss Whedon's story. I'm just saying, like, if you take somebody else's media, if they're like pushing their ideology into their media, you don't know if that person's suffering or their sort of like anything that they experience it could come through in their work. So let's say, I don't know. I could be completely wrong. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be Joss Whedon. It could be anybody. Let's say a writer or director grew up and his father beat the shit out of him, and his mother raised him basically alone. Okay, and then he goes on to make media, and because of his experiences as a child, he puts that into his work, subtly or overtly. Other people who become attracted to that may find that the parts that are sort of like acceptable, like girl power stuff that is relatively like you can't really argue against it, or because you're young, you're fine with it. But then there's baggage that comes with it too. Now I'm not saying it's going to influence you, but what I'm saying is if you're gonna draw from your media, and if you're going to make the case that media affects you, then don't you also have to consider that if the person who's making the media is damaged goods already, that they're just passing their damaged goods onto other people? Of course, I would make the argument it doesn't affect people, at least not in a significant way. But it's something to consider. So I think that most people who create, they draw from their real life. And people who tend to be very, like you can look at Kate's work. The stuff that I've seen, her comics that are all about feminism, they are coming from a place of a great deal of anger. So it is coming out, And even Joss, I'm sorry, but okay, I'll talk about Joss Whedon for a second. When I looked at, I'm sorry, my phone is doing something. When I looked at the Avengers Age of Ultron film, and I compare it to the Russo brothers' Civil War, there is no comparison. And then people have made arguments to say, oh, well, Joss is just overworked, or he's just got too much on his plate, or well, he was under a lot of pressure, and and all that. I don't think so, because the guy didn't have any other projects going on, and he didn't have as much to juggle as the Russo brothers did, but they did a better job. But one of the things is that Joss wanted to, he was concerned, I think, he was concerned with injecting some feminism into his work. He had ideologies to put into his work. The Russos didn't have that. They wanted to focus on telling the story. So they did a better job. I think that one of the things that guys like Bryan Singer also has or had in terms of his challenges was that he also wanted to talk about political stuff in his work. Now, I'm not saying you can't do that, but the problem is that if you start with that as your foundation or as your basis, you are running the risk of making a weaker product overall, because every decision you make, you have to consider, you know, your whatever your stance is. So when Joss was making decisions about what he wanted to do, he was like, but wait, how can I work my feminism into this? How can I work my feminism into this? How can I work my feminism into this angle? You know what? I need to do more with Black Widow, because if I don't do enough with Black Widow, people are going to be upset that she didn't have enough of a presence in the movie. What do I do? Oh, I know. I'll give her a relationship with Bruce Banner. Feminism. Oh, and I'll have her do a bunch of stuff to help out, you know, to make sure that she's like a prominent character in this story. Yay, feminism. And then those things ended up, for many people, me included, those are some of the weakest parts. And it's not because it's a woman, it's because they're just, nobody cared about the Bruce Banner Black Widow relationship thing. It was just tacked on and lame, and it took away from other shit that could have been better. Meanwhile, when the Russo brothers did it, they said, well, this story isn't about women. There'll be women in it, but it's not about them. And, you know, if you think we're sexist, then fuck you. I mean, that was it. I mean, because it wasn't. If the story was, then they would be front and center. But it wasn't. Civil War was about, you know, Cap, the Winter Soldier, and Iron Man. They were basically the trifecta, and everything else was there to support it. That was it. And they focused on the story, and I think that they did a really good job, despite, you know, whether or not it's how accurate it is to the comics, which I don't think it was intended to be, but that's aside the point. So, but that, I think that what I'm saying is that when you have an ideology that you have the feeling that you need to uphold, or you need to like inject, or you need to make it work with whatever product you're making, it's going to hamper your ability to make a better product overall. Well, go ahead.
No, finish.
Oh, well, I was going to say, and where that may come from, it's hard to say, but it's possible that people who do feel the need to put that into their work are echoing something, or they're dealing with or processing some kind of shit that they're dealing with from like earlier in their life. And there is this is just my thinking, because I have never felt the need to inject Puerto Ricans into my work just because I'm a Puerto Rican. Now, if I, like, for whatever reason had, maybe I had, like, something from my childhood where I was convinced that, you know, Puerto Ricans I had to politicize my identity, then I might be more inclined to do it. But I don't have that baggage. I don't have to worry about that. I can just do what I want. I am liberated, you know?
Well, what I wanted to say, and
yeah,
I'll get you, was I don't think that men's rights is an ideological in the same way feminism is. I think questioning the idea that men can't be vulnerable and can't be victims leads to a whole new realm of drama that you can explore in fiction. The male experience, not just the male experience of being either a villain or a hero for women, but the male experience of being vulnerable is interesting, at least to me. And it's another aspect that you can enrich and explore in your stories. So I don't consider that to be like in the same way ideological as feminism. And the other thing is that when feminists put stuff in their stories, it's not about enriching your understanding of the human condition. It's more about virtue signaling and moral thuggery, establishing them as themselves as your moral betters, basically clubbing you until you submit. Let's finish, because I have something to say about that.
Okay.
How we should really view these people.
Okay, I plugged in my headset, so there shouldn't be any more echo. So, okay, so when I was 9, Buffy, blah, blah, blah. I took karate. I read about witchcraft and the occult. Ugh. I wanted to be strong, in charge, on my own terms, fierce. I was that kind of kid. I saw Mulan a dozen times more than Beauty and the Beast. I obsessed over Sailor Moon, although their outfits never really made sense to me. I loved kick-ass women who didn't need tube tops to beat the bad guy. Wow, you sound extremely insecure.
Yeah.
Really insecure. Like, Seriously.
Yeah, okay. I just want to comment on that. So, karate is bullshit. And when this is the picture you chose to demonstrate Buffy's strength, all I can think of when I look at that is how fucking easy it would take her. It would be to get that knife out of her hand because she has her entire body open. Like, like she's telegraphing what she's doing. One, and she's has her entire body open for a takedown. Like, this is not a strong character. She looks like an idiot, personally. And
she's making a duck face too.
She's making a duck face. She looks like an idiot because of her posture and how she's addressing whatever threat she's addressing. Because anyone with a modicum of skill would have her flat on her face in about 2 seconds if she did that in front of them. So I don't know. You took karate. Well, first of all, karate is bullshit. Like, it's meaningless. But you don't know how a fight would progress. And you don't know what an actually strong position looks like if you chose that image. And I can see why you feel insecure. Because you took fucking karate, bitch. You should have been a Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Right?
And that knife, I'm sorry, man. I hate those fucking knives. That's like some shit that you order out of a catalog in the 90s that, you know, they name them like these over-the-top names and they're like these costume, like, they're just ugly. Like, what is that? That's like some shit out of the Mortal Kombat movie. Okay.
Before we go on, someone said that her opponent is defeated already. Then, I guess he or she must be a vamp. That's why she's like not applying proportionate force. Because if her opponent is defeated, she's now stabbing them while they're on the ground, which is sort of gross.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I don't know.
All right. Then she says, let me get real here for a minute. I've always had problems with my body. Like most girls today, I've had a hard time remembering my self-worth when my jeans don't look good. When I was 15, it was worse. I had moved halfway across the country with my parents and stopped doing karate. Buffy was ending. I had grown out of the Spice Girls and Batman and Cardcaptor Sakura. My friends were gone, and I was pretty sure I was at least a little bit gay. Nothing made sense. Then my parents took me to Weight Watchers.
Took you, or did you ask?
Well, apparently, no. She doesn't have agency, but she's fierce. She just gets taken places. She had to move, and the Spice Girls left her, and you know, and she didn't grow out of it. I mean, it says that, but
this reads like somebody who has no internal core.
No, she has problems.
Yeah, but the thing is that maybe your parents took you because they were concerned about your health. Also, yeah, you know what? I'm not particularly fond of my body or the way it looks either. But whatever. Like, that's a minor point in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't like it, then learn to eat properly and exercise. Like, or let go of your vanity, because this is vanity. This is your choice to be this vain.
It absolutely is. And you know what? If you're pretty sure you're a little bit gay, then you're probably, if you have problems with your body, you probably should be talking to other girls about it, because you shouldn't be concerned with what boys think. Between the ages of 14 and 15, I lost 40 pounds, more than a quarter of my body weight. That's a lot when you're still growing. My baby fat was gone. I suddenly
You're not growing. If you're a female, you're not growing. Once you get tits, you're not growing anymore.
Yeah.
So
well, I mean, you could if you're just eating a lot.
Well, yeah, you can grow fatter, but once you get tits, once you start bleeding, you are not growing any further upwards. You're just going to grow outwards. So drop the victimhood here.
Yeah.
You didn't stunt your fucking vertical growth by losing 40 pounds, more than a quarter of your body weight. So you were 160. Okay, well that's about what I weigh now, and I don't know if I could lose 40 pounds, but I could probably lose 30 at least. Or no, actually 20. The lightest I've ever been is 140. What is your point here? Congratulations, you lost 40 pounds. I bet you look much better. If that's your goal, then congratulations, you achieved your fucking goal. You took action, you were disciplined, and you achieved the goal. Is that the problem? Is that people were applying a standard to you and expecting, or not even expecting? Because you could just say, you know what, I'm fine with being 160 and pork belt. I'm okay with that. I'm gonna just sit on my ass and just be that way. You could have just abdicated your vanity, and that would have. But instead, you had a goal set, and you used discipline to achieve it. What's your problem?
All right, let's find out what happened. Because apparently her personal story is important. By the way, this is the way feminists always work. They have their stories. Their stories are facts. You cannot deny their stories, despite the fact that you have no way of knowing that their stories are true. My baby fat was gone. I suddenly had stomach muscles I could touch, and the boys were taking notice, even though I was a little bit gay and I shouldn't care. I still had black hair and fishnets, but I looked thin. I stopped caring about strong women. I was skinny. I felt like nothing else mattered. I got a goth boyfriend who, even though he was boring and cared more about World of Warcraft than me, I let sleep with me in his black curtained bedroom listening to Tenacious D. I wasn't ready, but he thought I was pretty, and it isn't what girls are supposed to do.
Fuck's sake!
Yeah.
Okay, ladies, girls, if you're listening to this, please do not take this woman as a role model. Take me as a role model. I waited till I was 20, and I lost my virginity and girl on top. Like, I was like, you know what, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. He didn't take me. I took him. And this, this is she's such a fucking, you get out of my fucking gender. There's how is this more feminine than, oh God,
I know, it's very cringe.
It's cringe because she's just like, there's no core. Everything is done to her. She's a victim of everything.
Mm-hmm.
She's a victim of everything.
Yes, it reminds me of a clip from The Addams Family, or is it and Family Values actually?
Yeah.
Where Wednesday is talking, that blonde woman is like, I'll be the victim, the blonde girl, and she's like, your whole life. And I wonder, and the thing is, feminists praise Wednesday Addams. Like there's like a Wednesday as an adult YouTube channel, and it's a feminist channel, and they totally missed that. Anyway, that of course they did. Did you cringe? I still do, thinking about it. But that was my whole life. People constantly told me how much better I looked. Even my family, how they couldn't remember how I'd been before. You're so thin now. I hardly recognize you. What was that?
Over 40 pounds?
Yeah, over 40 pounds. I lapped it up. You see, when you're a pretty girl, people feel like they have a right to you.
What?
Oh, my God. The humble bragging begins.
Oh.
Unleash the humble bragging. I lapped it up. Okay, they can compliment and objectify you, and society accepts this with open arms. Men whistle at you on the street, even when you're too young to drive. It's fine if a teacher calls you the incredible shrinking woman and remarks on how breathtaking your eyes are. It's okay if he emails you and sends drunken messages of affection. It's no problem if, when you figure out how very wrong that is and tell the school board, he faces no legal consequence because you are probably egging him on. Yeah. You know, a lot of times...
What? It's okay.
What?
You weren't raped.
Sometimes I think that feminists like this, which is a lot of them, that basically whine about the attention they get.
No, that's not okay. If you should have reported your teacher, there's no way that a teacher doing that would be considered okay.
No, it's not okay.
This is like things that never happened. I'll take things for never that happened, Alex.
Yeah, right. But these people are complaining about the attention that they get. I wonder if their attitude would be different if they became isolated, like completely isolated and cut off from everyone. No attention. Or worse, they get to live in the regular world, but no one pays them any attention ever. On the street, at their job, at home, with their family, nobody cares. Like, they just get the minimal amount of attention that is necessary for them to survive. You know, it's not like they're invisible, but almost. I want to see how long she can stand that, where people are not acknowledging her, no matter what she does. Because these are the kinds of people that, despite the fact they're always complaining about attention, they need it. They thrive on it. And one of the reasons why I know, and I'm not even done with this yet, is that I have never seen, and of course I could be wrong, but I've never seen a comic artist male, or a male comic artist or comic writer, write columns like this. Never. That have been like, oh, as a man I've had it this hard, and oh, if you only knew, and here's my childhood, and here's the shit I grew up with, and I wish that I had. That never happens. And one of the reasons why it never happens is because nobody would give a shit. They would say, dude, get over it. And I would be one of them.
Could you imagine a guy writing about, being taken by, a pretty goth girl, and how she... Could we go up a bit? Because what is she making? Like, this goes on and on forever. Who wants to...
Yeah, I don't... Fucking... I mean...
Okay,
you want me to just skip ahead to her, like...
No, go back. Go back. So I want to see...
the goth story?
I let sleep with me in his black curtained bedroom listening to Tenacious D. I wasn't ready. Did you tell him that?
But he thought I was pretty, and isn't that what girls are supposed to do? So basically, there is no, she just decided to do it because she thought that she was supposed to do it?
I have never heard an article in which a man describes the first person or the first woman he had sex with in such belittling terms.
Yeah.
He's boring and cared more about something else than me. You're an asshole.
Yeah.
You are a fucking asshole, Kate. And not only that, you're implying he's some sort of sexual aggressor. Oh.
I fucked a goth girl. It was really great lay, but she was one of the most abusive women I've ever been with. Because she had problems.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway.
Well, apparently, I'm being called a rapist in chat. I got my husband consent. He was consenting.
Okay, so...
And he's not actually submissive. He's okay with being taken sexually.
Sometimes it's nice to feel wanted. Okay, the thing is, if you think about it, you're probably not even really surprised. I was then, but I was young. I was then, but I was young. A year after the school system let me down, I started to gain the weight back. What do you mean the school system let me down?
Apparently the thing with the drunken teacher texts.
Oh, all right, well, whatever.
Somehow.
Nobody said anything this time. No words of encouragement. Everyone recognized me with a subtle flash of disappointment. I stopped wearing short sleeves and started carving reminders into myself of what being pretty meant. You mean like you were a cutter?
Yeah, she's a cutter.
Jesus Christ! Why do people listen to you?
And this is all because of comics, apparently.
Yeah.
Not because your parent... Like, if you're a cutter, it's most likely something going on with your parents.
That's what I said before! You have problems way beyond Harley Quinn's representation in comics. You cannot put that on this.
Yeah, and you really need to... Well, you're not going to do it because you got a core of styrofoam, but you really need to face your own issues head on. Not project them onto the actions of other people, or make some sort of conspiracy that the man is keeping you down because he draws a sexy Harley Quinn. Like that's I don't even understand. You were upset when you're fat, and you're upset when you're skinny. Maybe
she was upset that she got attention, and she was upset when people stopped giving her attention.
Yeah, so maybe you should realize that the common denominator there is not your weight, but you.
Yeah.
Okay, let us continue.
All right, so it was a dark time, and my heroes were gone. All I could see around me were gaunt women in lingerie and superheroes and even less. Movies geared towards my age group were filled with the brim with vacuous pinups and sex-starved man-children. What was I supposed to be? If skinny meant giving up the right to my body and chubby meant being teased and depressed, was there really a lesser evil? This, to get right to the point, is why I'm pissed about Harley Quinn. It's why I'm upset about Starfire, Catwoman, and the difference between the way Cliff Chiang draws Wonder Woman, strong, muscular, and with a costume that shields her chest, and the way she looks in Justice League, cleavage, and butt shots. Why I hate the redesign of Amanda Waller and love that Batwoman was wearing a sports bra under her costume in the last issue. Why I hate the Catwoman movie and don't understand why they haven't adapted Batgirl Year One for animation despite the dozen odd successful movies in the Bat franchise. It's why I draw comics at all, and it's the most important thing that nobody cares about.
Your ability to play the victim is actually quite attractive to most of humanity. Well, a good portion, because it's like People love a woman who plays a victim. Okay? People
Mhm.
love a woman who plays a victim. They'll give them plenty of attention, accolades, money. They'll give them speaking engagements just as long as you play the victim. Victimhood is basically like a beauty ideal for women, and you play the victim well. I'm sure you get a lot of attention for it too. I mean, comicsbulletin.com.
Yeah.
You're being published in that, and I assume that your comics
But she
get a
doesn't
lot
have
of
a
attention
voice,
because of.
though. She doesn't have a voice, though.
No, women have a voice when they're victims.
No, my point being ironic. I'm being
Well,
sarcastic.
but yeah, you have to
She's
also.
complaining that she doesn't have a voice while writing an article for fucking comicsbulletin.com.
And why do you care about the sexualization of women if you like women sexually?
I don't know.
Just fascinating.
She doesn't. Well, she. The thing is, you see, she probably doesn't have a problem with women being sexualized, provided that men don't enjoy it.
You know what I would
She has
do
a
if I was
problem
ever
with men enjoying women sexually.
writing Wonder Woman? I would write basically a military dystopia like Sparta.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like where they you know at like 12 they throw you out in the wild. You have to go kill wolves to survive, and if they find you, they beat you to death. That's what Wonder Woman should have grown up through. Not like this quasi pacifistic. Because if they were really like if they Themyscira was really a military society, they would be really fucking brutal to those girls to turn them
Oh
into
yeah.
soldiers. And I would love to write something like that. Just brutal fucking story of what she had to go through to grow up, and then it would be like almost like it would be a dystopia, and then they would also have all this fucking threat narrative towards men, almost like war propaganda. So they had this incredible deep set bigotry, like on the level as guttural bigotry on the level of a lot of tribal bullshit, and that would be awesome.
So they'd be feminists.
Well, no, they wouldn't be feminists because they
No,
would
they
be
wouldn't.
being feminists with a lot of discipline. And I don't
Yeah.
know, I can almost respect that kind of thing better. Because at the very least, you are what you say you are.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas feminists say that they're basically at war with, essentially they put forth propaganda that is identical to war propaganda, but directed towards men, at the same time as they rely on men completely for almost everything, including empowerment. Anyway, go.
All right. Girls need heroes, not just sparkly princesses and trembling vampire devotees, but powerful and likable heroes. I got my confidence back when I got into comics through those slice of life stories and adventuresses like Selena Kyle and Barbara Gordon. This was 2 years ago. Comics got me through a breakup, my parents' divorce, job loss, and more. I found within these fictional worlds characters that were more than costumes. I got the confidence to start drawing and found a whole world of other female artists online to learn from and share with. Comics became my whole life. They mean so much to me now and to so many others. Well,
Congratulations! You
gotta
found
be
your niche.
yeah.
What the fuck? Why don't you just enjoy your niche?
That's got to be an incredible amount of pressure as a comic artist to know that like what you make literally other people's lives hang in the balance as to how you represent characters. I don't know that I can deal with that kind of pressure as a comic artist myself. Knowing that if I draw a female character the wrong way, in the wrong pose, or in the wrong costume, they're going to go cut themselves because I've done that wrong. That's scary. That's an incredible amount of power. I don't know that I can use it responsibly. So when the new Dr. Quinzel showed up, grinding her short shorts into a guy who tells her to shut up before somehow penetrating her through 2 layers of clothing, I felt defeated. I shouldn't care, I thought.
That doesn't defeat me. It's like, wow, there's a huge opening for people who actually know how physics works in comics. If you got the least idea how two bodies actually can function together, you might be able to explore a niche of physically accurate comics. But why would you find that? Like, what is it? Defeated? Why are you defeated by that? What is she?
Because that which happens to fictional characters from her nostalgic past affect her. It's like Harley Quinn is like is Kate's Corsican brother or Corsican sister. So whatever happens to her Corsican sister happens to her.
Okay, but
all women everywhere.
Can I point something out? This guy just told her to shut up. Shut up, let's fuck now. You realize that just before you said you loved the abusive relationship between Harley Quinn and Joker.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy just tells her to shut up. Like, that's not even particularly abusive. My husband tells me to, no, I tell him to shut up quite a bit. And I think he also tells me to shut up, but I don't tend to talk as much, so, except on, like, fucking radio, but whatever. But it's like, I would not consider that abusive. I suppose in the chats, everybody's like, because Karen went after her, Karen was, like, because of her telling her dog to shut up, everybody's like, oh, fuck you, you're such abusive, and I guess I'm going to be called abusive, too. But shut up, I don't consider to be abusive. It's just like, shut up. We got better things to do. Let's talk with our hips now. I mean, admittedly, the entire sequence was confusing. It didn't seem very sexy, but that's not something I find defeating. It's something I find slightly hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting an incredible amount of undue attention. All right, so she was grand. Okay. It's when I think about that, when I really get down to it, that I can't accept the read something else response. It wouldn't fly to have a protagonist change into a blatant homophobe or to put forth an extreme racial stereotype. So why are we told to sit down and stop making a fuss when these characters we care about are warped for a sexist male gaze? Wouldn't it cause an uproar to have Superman show up in fishnets and thigh highs? I mean, he's an all-American hero, a role model for young boys nationwide. Actually, he's not a role model for boys. He could be a role model for anyone. And I frankly find it's very sexist and cis-sexist of you to say that. Plus, it's funny that this woman would say, why are we told to sit down and stop making a fuss when these characters we care about are warped for a sexist male gaze? Yet she would probably be the one to stand up in defense of comics creators that would warp or change characters away from what they were if it upsets men. So if you basically replace a male character with a female character, or a white character with a black character, or make some other change, and people are like, why did you do that? That seems arbitrary or strange or pandery or whatever, she would say, let me drink your male tears or your white tears, you sexist asshole. And yet, when the character Harley Quinn doesn't really change much at all, she's just given a more sort of adult makeover, I guess, which I don't entirely agree with myself, but not because I think it's sexist, just because I don't think it's a good fit. She has a huge problem with it. Hypocrisy much?
You, Kate Leth, are modeling a form of femininity that is toxic. And that is a femininity that sees itself solely as a victim of things that you are not a victim of. Because you are a human being with agency. You don't have to read it. This is emphasizing your action here. And you're offended by that because it is outside of your traditional gender norms. The idea that women can make choices to establish the world in their own head that they want to see. Don't read it if you don't like it. It's not intended for kids. Don't expect it to be intended for kids.
In her mind, 12-year-old or 13-year-old girls and 12 or 13-year-old boys are completely different animals. Completely different in that a 13-year-old boy can read a comic with action, maybe even a little bit of violence. They could go watch a film like Lord of the Rings or The Ring, which are PG-13 movies that have violence and action in them, and that's okay. And even women in sexy costumes. But girls cannot handle it. Their heads will explode. They will immediately start to become bulimic, and they will cut themselves. And they will have sex with goth boys in black curtained rooms while listening to Tenacious D because they felt pressure to do so thanks to Batgirl's representation in comics.
Okay.
She's totally treating girls and boys differently, though. PG-13 is that's PG-13.
Right,
it's like
the other thing is that that guy is also modeling a masculinity that is unobtainable for 99% of all men. Completely unobtainable. And she doesn't, literally, this is her lens in the world. Boys can't be victims, girls can. Therefore, girls must be accommodated. Well, maybe you should reconsider your teaching people and promoting the idea seeing the world that way, of that very strict gender segregated role of man strong, woman victim. Maybe well, that's what we need to challenge. Kate, is your brain.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, like girls like Kate here, when they see women in their drawn in comics, of course, we know that men and women in comics are usually drawn with idealized body types. This is just the way that we've always done it, and it's mainly because when people read comics, they're looking to escape, and they want to see stuff that's idealized. I mean, much in the same way when they go see films, everyone is pretty or handsome. And that's not really supposed to the intention. I don't believe the intended effect is to essentially stab someone right in the esteem and destroy them. For whatever reason, most people it doesn't affect at all. They're just like, well, I just want to see. If I'm going to watch TV or film, I want to see attractive people. When going back to what you were talking about with regards to Superman. If we're gonna, let's just for the sake of argument say that Superman is for boys and Wonder Woman is for girls, even though that's not really true. When boys look at Superman, why is it that they don't feel, like their ego is being damaged or their self-esteem is being wrecked because Superman has a six-pack and large pecs and he's well built and he's also, strong morally, and he always does the right thing, and he doesn't lie, and all this other stuff. I mean, he has superpowers, etc. This
because
doesn't
it's a
impact
power
boys.
fantasy.
He is they would say he's a power fantasy.
It is different. It's different than the beauty fantasy because beauty isn't power, and power. The expectation that men be powerful isn't an onerous expectation.
No.
That's the way they would argue.
Well,
even when they say that there's a power it's a power fantasy.
Yeah.
So what? It also represents a power ideal that, like I said, 99%. No, actually, Superman. What am I saying? 100% of men are never going to be Superman.
No.
So even then, that's an unrealistic ideal that Superman represents that no man can achieve. So it doesn't matter if it's a power fantasy. It's even more unrealistic than Harley Quinn.
Absolutely.
It is beauty ideal. It's even more unrealistic. So that doesn't even make sense. Anyway, continue, Ryan.
Well, my thing is that boys don't internalize the negative part of that. Generally, and I don't think girls do either, but I do think girls like this do. Generally, boys look at characters like Superman or Captain America, and they're inspired by them. Even if a boy wants to, let's say that a boy looks at that and says, I want a body like that. Let's say that happened. They don't necessarily want the powers, but they want to look like that. That is something that a lot of bodybuilders or people who are interested in fitness or whatever will use as inspiration to pursue as a goal. Or even if they can't really achieve it all the way, but they do. And you can see that if you look at male cosplayers that are good at playing those kind of characters that are like in shape and stuff. That for them is a motivational tool to accomplish a goal. But women like this one, not female cosplayers that can pull off those costumes and stuff, but women like this one see that as something damaging and something that needs to be torn down or something that needs to be removed entirely or otherwise examined. But generally it's going to result in its destruction because they think that while male characters inspire boys, this is their mentality, female characters wreck and destroy girls because what they have, their body type, is unachievable, or at the very least, their ability to be everything to every man at any given time is something that cannot be achieved. And it's weird because we're looking at ideals on both sides, but for whatever reason, boys don't see that as a problem, whereas women like this will say that girls do see this as a problem. They can't achieve it. It's just going to create suffering and adversity for them.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So
yeah. Well, no, I do see what you're saying, but it's because of that gender lens that she has, a very segregated gender lens. She cannot see male victimhood. In fact, the very thought of it, you remember those huge blue eyes staring. The idea that men could be victims of anything is terrifying to her. It'd be like, daddy crying when you're 3. She just can't handle it because she needs men to be stronger. She needs them to be stronger. She needs the buck to stop with men because the idea that she has that power over her own life, terrifying, no doubt. And I can imagine because she doesn't seem to have any kind of core. And this is the thing. Let's finish the last paragraph so we can.
All right. It's an argument that's been made 1,000 times before, but for some reason it still needs to be made. I'll just say this. The comic industry is growing. Reading graphic novels doesn't have the stigma it used to. Girls and women of every age are picking up Blankets, Walking Dead, Batwoman, Kick-Ass. Schools carry copies of Essex County and Infinite Kung Fu. Everyone is looking for heroes to love the way generations before loved Batman and Spider-Man. We don't have to accept the things that offend us. We can speak out. We can hold artists accountable. Most of all, we can create newer and better comics. Our characters can be as diverse as we want. We can make real women with strength, integrity, faults, and wicked sweet costumes so that girls all over the world have something to hold on to when everything else is uncertain. Art can make a difference. It can change lives. So why make the same old stupid shit?
Well, who are you talking to? If you're already making it, then go make it. Why are you wasting time telling other people what to do? And the other thing is you hold up. You think that tough women are a role model. And this is what really pisses me off about feminists, is because they will go and they'll say, oh yeah, Buffy's tough, she's a role model, or this woman is tough and she's a role model. Well, all of the shit that you talk about, Kate, would roll off my back. Or I would say that, if I'm bothered by this, it's my problem. I'm a lot tougher than you. And feminists never go to women like me, because there's other women who are also tough and don't actually get laid low, don't become victims of Harley Quinn's what is bodice or corset, whatever the hell she's wearing. They don't see them. They don't see that men empower them. We are tough women, and you never ask us or respect us enough to say, well, how did you get that way? Because I don't think it really is about seeing tough women as a role model. It's about being victimized by media, so that you can tear through it like a bunch of feminist thugs and force people to abide by your opinions. And she isn't the one who does Hark a Great Vagrant, right? Let me just check.
No, she does a comic called Lock and Key. Apparently.
Okay, so Hark a Vagrant is done by who?
I don't know.
Kate Beaton. So the Kate was what threw me. So essentially, if you want toughness, or you see toughness as a role model, you, Kate, are possibly the last woman that any girl should view as a role model. And I don't think I'm a role model for shit, but I think I'm a better role model for you, because I can tell girls how not to care about this shit. Or, alternatively, to accept that if you do care, it's because you chose to. It's your agency. Men can't empower you. A sexy picture of Harley Quinn does not cause you to cut yourself or lose your virginity to a goth while listening to Tenacious D. None of this. You chose this. Your big problem, Kate, is that you have the perception. You have a childish perception of your own agency in your life. You have your perception of your own agency is so underdeveloped and immature, and you're presenting, and you say that you want to role model tough women. Well, why don't you start by maturing your perception of your own agency and stop becoming victims of things that are bullshit? Seriously.
Yeah. Oh, let me finish that comic from before.
And also, your art style looks too much like Hark a Vagrant. You look like you're sort of plagiarizing off of her, Kate Beaton.
Yeah, well, this sort of like Plead Comics made a great image called "How to Draw a Cartoon and Please Tumblr" at the same time, and it's basically like this guide. You have to make sure that the female is if there's a female character, but she has kind of a boyish haircut, and she's not skinny. She's like a little dumpy looking because you don't want to upset the body positive crowd and all these other things. It's very funny, and it has this art style that she was mocking, which is the same one you see in shows like Steven Universe and Adventure Time and all these other ones, where they all look like they were drawn by the same person. That doesn't necessarily mean they're bad, and I'm not shitting on Steven Universe for you guys that love that show. But I'm just saying, like, there is a point where you start to think, wow, all of this looks the same. What's going on here? And her art is kind of like, it's trying to be like that. And of course, she does the artwork for a Steven Universe comic, so I guess it makes sense. All right, well, anyway, the last two panels on her spooky Halloween horror what-ifs is Gamergate continues well into 2016, and she's like, seriously, it just goes on forever and ever. Well, I have news for you, Kate. It is still going on. The Twitter may have removed the hashtag or shadow banned it or whatever, and the people are trying to silence Gamergate from talking and organizing and exposing shit. But I found this comic through a Gamergate Facebook page. They're still around, and you can hide them under rocks. You can sweep under the rug the existence of Gamergate, but it's still there, and we're still very much aware of it. And so you're going to have to deal with it at some point. This is not an attitude that's going to go away just because you don't like it and you think that it should not exist, and you block people and you remove them from your from your social media. That's actually not going to solve the problem. You're going to have to confront it.
Yeah. But she wants a tough role model, but she can't really handle reality aspects of it. I mean, how would you be like? Why do you even say you want a tough role model when you obviously want to wallow in victimhood? You say, I want girls to have tough female role models, women they can look up to, women who manage to endure, difficulty and harsh circumstances and triumph. And you can't even say no to a fucking emo kid. Mm-mm. You can't even say, yeah, no, it's not my time. I'm not interested, friend. Let's move on to something else. You can't even say no to a fucking emo. Like, seriously, this is the greatest strife you've experienced, and it's laid you low. Like,
yeah.
Can we not hold you to a standard of courage and toughness, Kate Leth? I think we should. We need to start holding women to that standard. And these are the women who are being used as, you know what Kate needs? She needs to have the same testosterone level as a woman 150 years ago would, because I don't think they whine as much as this.
No.
They would whine as much as they probably had 70% more that's what's interesting, is that we had, apparently 50 years ago, everyone had 70% more testosterone, including women. So 50 years ago, women had probably more testosterone than men have today. And this is the society we get because of these estrogen mimics. And I know it's the bio truth, but whatever. I'm just rolling it out there as a possibility. Everybody has turned into a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Even like, and not even women. I don't even want to use the word woman because that would have applied to women 50 years ago. Everybody has turned into a 3-year-old girl in our society. That explains everything.
Mm-hmm.
It explains fucking everything. Doesn't explain the goddamn fucking compressor turning on every time I have a radio show, but explains everything else.
Actually, it's funny that you should mention it now. It could be because of the advent of the internet. And I think that could be part of it, but I don't think it's just that. One of the things that I was thinking about when I looked at this Kate Leth thing, I was thinking about my other encounters with people in the comics industry that have blocked me for inviting them on the show to discuss the shit they were ranting about on Twitter and other social media, like their websites or whatever. Like the fucking guy whose name I can't remember, who wrote the hit piece on Frank Cho and Udon. And there was a woman who wrote one, and then there was a guy who wrote one about Frank Cho. There were different people, and I'm sure the chat will tell me the name because I can't remember it off the top of my head. But I got blocked by both of those people. And I actually talked about the Frank Cho / Udon piece on the pollcast we did 2 weeks ago, I believe it was. And one of the things I was thinking about was I was a comic reader and collector from the time that I was about 11 years old, probably a little bit earlier because we were really poor, and my mother used to, when I was a kid, she used to go to this. It was like a medical supply store because she worked in a chiropractor's office, and she would pick up things for the guy who worked there. And they had these discount comics on the shelf that you could get. And essentially what they were was, or they were on this rack, and you would get like 10 books without covers for whatever reason, and they were all random, and they'd be in a bag. I guess they were going to get thrown away or whatever. And this was before collecting comics in, like, the 90s and all that shit. When people were all about, like, getting number ones. This was just when people just read them for fun, and they were printed on newsprint, and they were like 75 cents each. So she would bring them to me, and I'd get these random issues. They would be completely out of order, and they'd be from mostly Marvel, but some DC stuff and whatever. And I would just read them over and over, and I would like try to complete the stories because I didn't have the whole story. I just had like a part of it. When I got into comics later, and I was actually able to buy them with my own money, and I would like travel to a comic shop, and we had a couple of comic stores. I would collect my issues and read the stories, and then I'd read the stuff in the back, like the bulletin stuff, and the letters from the editor and all those things. And one of the things that I noticed was, despite everything, the people who were involved in making comics, despite the fact that they really loved what they were doing, or at least they appeared to, and I think that they did for the most part, they remained professional. They would never use comics as a platform to whine and bitch and complain about something that was going on in the real world, much less something that was personal, much in the same way that Kate Leth and these other people who are writing have done. They would just talk about, maybe they talk about world events and they bring them into their books, but they never felt like it was an opportunity for them to stand on a soapbox and essentially browbeat you with their opinions. And they certainly wouldn't get up there and whine and bitch and moan about stuff. And they wouldn't do it, they would not create infighting, even when they were like talking about the opposition. Like when Marvel and DC talked about each other, it was kind of like in good, it was like they knew that they were doing it and they were having fun with it. But they never like were really vicious about it. Because they knew that as competition for each other, it was only going to make their book stronger if the other person was stronger. Or at least they remained like, at their level. There was something sportsmanlike about it. And when I look at today, we have people who write columns in comics websites, which, by the way, guys, I have not seen anything to the opposite. Comics websites and websites that focus on, sort of like sequential art media that do reviews and talk about it and write op-eds and stuff, they are just as bad as the gaming websites. They hate their audience. They will talk shit about you guys at any chance they get, and they're all about pushing their agenda. They're no different from Polygon and the other gaming websites. Unless you can find some examples or some exceptions, I'm open to looking at them, but comicsalliance.com and all these other ones, they're just as bad. Comicbooks.com, whatever. So, anyway, the way that they treat, the way that people behave and talk to each other within the industry now makes me ashamed that I want to be involved in the industry. Because people are acting like children, and they're throwing tantrums, and they're insulting each other, and, I think that mostly it goes in one direction, but because Frank Cho, he's just making the artwork, and yeah, he stands up for himself, but he's not throwing a tantrum. He's not being a bitch. But the people who are being a bitch to him, they're just I'm ashamed because it's something that I want to do, and I like I like the legacy of it. I like the idea of making comics myself. It's something that I have an interest in, but I haven't bought a book in a long time because I don't know that I want to support anyone. I mean, I don't like the direction it's going in. I think that people have really gone off the rails, and I think the wrong people are being pandered to. I'm sorry, but I'm not saying that Kate Leth shouldn't be able to make books. I'm just saying that she needs to, we don't need to pander to her. We don't even need to like her. Yeah, she has her niche. She should just make books in her niche. That's it.
Stop the inter-niche warfare, Kate Leth. Just enjoy your niche and let other people enjoy their niches.
Exactly.
I don't think been complaining about the goddamn Shota. Ugh. Anyway.
No. So anyway, and this is just another example of that. So BuzzFeed made an article that reads, comic writer Kate Leth's, or Leith, whatever, Kate Leth's Twitter rant on sexualized female superhero costumes is everything. And to go into this whole thing, and that's the thing, like, she's criticizing the way other people draw at its core. Now, of course, what she's really doing is she's talking about the way male artists draw female characters. But that aside, she's talking about what men or what men are allowed to and not allowed to draw. This is the shit that I cannot stand. And she's doing it in a very childish way. It comes across as so petty that I'm ashamed to want to be a part of this industry, or to be a part of it, really. Because this is not what I signed up for. Nobody should be telling anyone what is okay and what is not okay. It's like, what was it then when I forgot what they called it when Hitler and the Nazis were like burning art. They were destroying artwork that they didn't feel represented Aryan, the Aryan people well enough or whatever. It was like the something art exhibition.
Degenerate art.
The degenerate art exhibition. I mean, I'm not, it's like I see that, and I know that that's Godwin's law and all that shit, but that's what I think of. It's like people saying this is okay, this is not okay. I mean, it's art. This is not up for debate.
No, apparently it is up for debate.
Yeah, apparently.
Apparently, and this is where, are we going to go through this article as well?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to go through it briefly.
Okay,
because it relates to the
butt feed, so it's probably going to be short.
Yeah. Last month, well, look at the size of the type. It's like, this is made for an 8-year-old or something. Last month, comic book artist Kate Beaton of Hark, A Vagrant fame, took to Twitter to point out the ridiculous costume change for Dagger, one half of the Marvel superhero duo Cloak and Dagger. Historically, Dagger, like many female superheroes, has never sported a costume that could ever be described as modest, which incidentally is absolutely fine.
Good, stop there, and this is the end. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's
fine. And the motif on her torso is clearly supposed to be cut in the shape of her namesake, but whilst Beaton recognized this, she also pointed out that the addition of the strange rectangle cutouts where the character's nipples should probably be were a step too far. So
really? A step too far because of it's immodest, is what she's saying.
It's no longer modest.
She's showing her ankles. Oh my goodness. And incidentally, those aren't. When I saw that, I knew exactly what they're referencing. They're referencing a hilt.
Yeah, it's a dagger.
It's a dagger.
Yeah, her name.
It's not a shiv. It's a dagger. It's her name.
Yeah, that's the costume. It's a dagger pointing down, and it's also supposed to resemble a cross. It's a little bit of both, but whatever.
She hilariously dubbed them Titwindows.
Titwindows needs more Titwindows for tits, for looking at tits through the windows, tits to look at. So Kate is this is like, what are you, fucking 11? Like, this is just throwing a tantrum.
Oh yeah, so this was Kate Beaton. So I take back everything I said about Kate Leth.
Okay, so the drawing is Kate Beaton.
Okay, that's good.
Then she did what she does best. So she made a comic strip, and I actually have it open right here, Titwindows with Cloak and Dagger. So it's basically a series of examples of why this costume is a terrible idea. Just because
go back up. We want to read it.
Oh yeah, sure. Cloak, can you hear me? Dagger, I. And then like this thing opens up. Can you keep your shit together? OMG.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty good hero. I fight the good fight, and Cloak and I are a great team. I'm sorry, Miss Dagger. Your outfit is very distracting. I feel like one of your bad guys. Haha. Oh no, I don't know what to do with myself. Haha. I guess it works on good guys too. Some of this is just.
Yeah, that's lame. The first one was sort of cute. That one was lame. Sure, yeah. Super tape. Those drug dealers can't have gotten far.
Like is there glue or tape?
Yeah, find me a comic issue where I do that. Well, wait, go back, because I want to see the original. Because actually, technically, I think she's exaggerating the costume to get this effect. If we go up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Admittedly, that piece of fabric between the Titwindows looks like it's straining to breaking, but it's not actually a flap. It's a single, like those Titwindows
It's connected.
are connected.
Yeah.
So it's not going to do that. Miss Kate Beaton is not gonna. That's not going to happen. At least not the way you've drawn it.
Well, when I used to read Cloak and Dagger, the costume was more like this, where it was just like open, but this part was higher up. I don't know if Kate here doesn't like, maybe she like, it was higher up so that this wouldn't happen. Well, first of all, it's comics. It's not going to happen unless the artist decides to draw it happening.
Well, second of all, the outfit is basically painted on. So what you're seeing is basically a woman in body paint with maybe something over her nipples underneath the body paint. And you're seeing men in body paint with maybe some sort of cup over their penis, so you can't see every single vein in body paint. That's basically what they're doing in comics, is they're just putting body paint, lycra body paint, on their characters. So it's not going to go anywhere because it's painted on. Anyway. It's
escapism. Well, she does. Yeah, it's crazy that we would want to do that. But like normally, like I'll go to this third one here. This is not really a good example of where this sits. Like normally the hilt is higher up. It's like right on top. So that's not going to happen, at least the way that they used to draw it. I mean, they may have lowered it. Who cares? I don't care, but I'm just saying.
They've also made it more likely that it's not going to.
Yeah, they also made it more likely that won't happen because she's actually got more skin covered up now.
Yeah.
Technically, right?
Yeah.
So it just goes like.
Okay, no, let's go to the next one. Not the best trope. Look, you think you're the only one with problems. I'm a young black man from a bad neighborhood whose body pulls people into a dark dimension. I have a hunger for light and feed off of a white.
A white lady who symbolizes the light.
But I'm just saying it's not amazing.
Yeah, I don't know what that.
You're a man, therefore you obviously have every. Like this persecution complex that feminists invite women to have is so fucking damaging. I don't know, but who knows what? But I'm just saying it's not amazing. You're what? What is it you were going to say there, Kate Beaton? I don't speak your language.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I don't know what she's getting at. No other way. I mean, the dagger motif is essential. And maybe you could do it without cutting tit holes in the costume. I just can't see how.
Well, yes, because you take it from a dagger to some sort of shiv. Dagger has a hilt, friend.
Yeah. Well, I think what she's implying is that she has something on underneath. Now, I'm guessing that, so basically there'd be like 2 layers, or the dagger wouldn't be just cut open, it would just be another color instead. Now, I'm guessing that, I know that Netflix is talking about bringing Cloak and Dagger to Netflix. They're going to do a show. My guess is that when they do, this outfit, she's not going to be wearing that. It's going to be like some other thing, like a leather, body armor thing with like something on it. I don't know. They're going to change it because it's going to piss people off somehow. Cloak will be the same though. Okay. Just focus on the positives. Whatevs. Everyone has sexually idealized bodies in comics. I don't really have a body. I'm a black male character with no gotta go. So okay. So Cloak is the exception, and that's the argument.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not finding much of this funny. The first one was sort of funny, but the rest of this is just too whiny.
It is. It's all pretty whiny.
Kate Beaton. You know what? I'm going to start judging Kate, like these feminists, in terms of being girls' role models. You are terrible fucking role models. If Kate Beaton or Kate Leth, was it Leaf? Left?
Left? I don't know.
Okay, well, if either of you were like in a fantasy or even a science fiction, you would be the women hiding in the closet pissing yourself as the monster kills the rest of the crew. Mm-hmm. You are terrible role models for women or girls.
Absolutely.
Terrible. Or you'd be whining while you're being eaten. You'd be like that guy It was always a male character, but it should be a female character. Like from Jurassic Park, the irritating lawyer who was also a coward who gets eaten. That would be you, Kate. And Kate, you would be the irritating coward who gets eaten. You are terrible role models. Terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, continue.
All right. Next comic strip. Want to see tits, but I have standards. Ugh, not again. Whoa, did I just see a nipple? Come on, you're a teenage character. Sometimes that's just too much. Cover that up. Better. And it's her like doing the... I think that's a joke on the boobs butt pose, but she just didn't draw it very well. It looks... I don't know. It looks...
All right, the boobs butt pose is just as irrational as all the men fucking women up against walls. That shit's... That is an impossible standard of sexualization of men.
Mm-hmm.
Like the average man is not going to be able to fuck the average woman up a wall. You'd have to be a fucking He-Man. And it's a trope that you see in erotica or porn targeted at women too. And It's just as hilarious. It's exactly the same. You know, you read these erotic fiction for women, and these guys are doing shit that they can't possibly be able to do in reality. But they like that because it's this masculine ideal that women like. And that's just as irrational and ridiculous as the boob butt. But I'm just saying, it's just a fantasy. So unless you want to take away all of those male, alpha male romantic leads in comedy, or not in comedy, but in romance, who are capable of doing things physically that are fucking impossible for the average man, leave the butt boob thing alone. It is ridiculous. I never personally would draw it because it just pains my anatomy instinct. But, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, I don't think it's sexist either.
No,
I don't think it's coming from a place of mwahaha. I think it's just people who don't have a great grasp on anatomy, and sometimes you can do it. Like I've actually, I did a piece of artwork once for a classroom assignment, and I was drawing a dancer, and it was a male dancer, and I was looking up references, and I found a photo of a guy doing a twist. It was like a ballet twist or something, and he actually was doing the butt boob pose. Like if it was a woman, he would look like that. He was being very flexible, but it was also a photo of him in mid action, like there was a moment of action, and for a moment he was in that pose, which makes sense. And I drew that, and I use it as a reference for my art piece, and people said, "Oh, you did the boob butt pose," and they acted like it was impossible, and there's no way that could have happened, and I broke some fucking carnal, I don't know, some holy tenet of art or something. And I said, well, no, I use a photo reference. And they're like, no, let me see. And I showed them, and they're like, oh. So I guess it's possible. You just can't hold it. But if somebody's in the moment, so if you draw, a lot of times when people are drawing the boob butt pose, it's usually because the character is in the middle of some action, and I think in that instance it makes sense. But when somebody's just standing like that, that's when I wouldn't do that. That's when it's wrong.
Okay, so you just have to have strong, sexy women. Titwindows, of course there's a Titwindows. It's comics. You have Titwindows. I mean, who are you? What are you? New? Who did you think these comics are for? Anyway, we're pleased to announce a new TV, toy, and lunchbox line for Cloak and Dagger. We think Dagger is an excellent, strong role model for girls, blah, blah, blah. You know what, Kate Beaton? The world does not have to conform to your aesthetic preferences. Period. You are a fucking... you are a fascist. You are a bunch of fascist moral thugs, and you try to hide about behind being cute. But I'm glad Marvel said no dice. I'm glad they said, yeah, no, screw you. Because you don't have the right. Why can't men have their own fiction? What the hell is wrong with that appeals to them?
Every woman that appears in media is for women first, apparently. Okay, no dice. Can you just ask Marvel to mail you a sweater? You think? 2 Dagger, love Marvel. Well,
yeah,
and it's cut open.
That's the funniest part.
Yeah. So I don't want us to get flagged, so I'm just gonna close that. But
Did you see something that suggested we're going to get flagged?
Well, there's boobs. I don't know.
Oh.
It's not. They're not like really well drawn boobs, but they're boobs. And
Okay.
What?
All right. So today, a month after Kate Beaton blessed us with a wonderful tits window complaint, comic book artist and writer Kate Leth also took to Twitter to continue the conversation about the realism-defying ways women's bodies are still drawn or overdrawn in comics. She used the way that some artists draw the fabric around Spider-Woman's individual breasts as a prime example.
Yeah.
Boobsocks. Okay, once again, I will remind you women that this is not actually supposed to be spandex. It doesn't conform to spandex on a female body or a male body. This is body paint, basically. This is body paint. They're just painted bodies in like lycra. And the other thing is, if you have ever seen a guy who's fairly built in a t-shirt, they also do that to their male characters in fucking t-shirts. Like they're wearing a t-shirt, and it looks like it's painted on. A t-shirt and jeans. You see male characters in t-shirt and jeans, they look slightly less like they're wearing spray-on lycra. And it's ridiculous. And they do this even in Hollywood films, too. Because
Absolutely.
you shouldn't be able to see that much back and packed muscle in the average t-shirt.
And the belly button.
Yeah, they're wearing, like even male characters in Hollywood films, when they put a t-shirt on, it's about 5 sizes too small. And it conforms to everything, which means it's probably being pinned in the back and all kinds of other arbitrary shit that isn't reflecting reality, because it is art. It's a fantasy. So socks are the least of it. And both male and female characters get it.
By the way, what does overdrawn mean? When she says women's bodies are still drawn or overdrawn, like we're drawing them too often? Because if we drew women less, would you guys be okay with that? Somehow I don't think that you would.
Okay, let's keep going.
All right. And blessed us with another sexism busting phrase to add to our dictionary of misogynist art, boob socks.
Stop.
I know.
All you women do, all you supposedly strong female role models, Kate Beaton and Kate Leth, all you do is define more ways that women are victims and describe how women are victims and women are victims and women are victims. And it's like, go away. Just, we need a new separate gender for you people.
I'm going to go to their Twitters, but okay.
The 3-year-old girl gender, because you're not women. You're 3-year-old girls.
To corroborate her argument, she compared photos of real women wearing similar outfits to Spiderwoman to show the way that fabric is supposed to look around the chest area.
It is body paint.
This is but the thing is that doesn't even matter. This is a it's like she thinks she's so clever and she's so smart that she's talking to people, boys specifically, as though they are children that need to be scolded by their mommies. And this is her approach.
Oh, no, it's worse, Brian, and I'm going to get to that. It's much worse than children being scolded by their mommies. That's soft peddling the issue of what these thugs are doing. And let's I'll get into it when you're done.
All right.
Looking through all this.
Well, let me just finish the article. So basically, she released a series of photos that says this is what a woman in a skin-tight unitard looks like. Boob socks are not the work of any one artist, but thousands who have collectively never seen a human woman. Okay, so men have never seen a human woman. Awesome.
Okay,
thank you.
And also,
we're all virgins now. This is what the comics industry thinks of you guys.
You're all
by
virgins.
the way.
You're all idiot virgins who've never seen a human woman, who've never had sex. That's not Keith or Kate Leth. You're an asshole.
Absolutely. She then went on to talk about the difference between sexy and sexualized art. This is what we mean when we talk about sexy versus sexualized art in comics. Deep V in a hot dress? Okay. Define nipple through a uniform?
You mean the classic romantic novel cover with a woman with all of her breasts on display and also you can see her tits sort of through her dress? Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you demanding a higher level of prudery for men's fantasies than women's?
I don't know.
Every time I say this,
Make
people
them.
jump down my throat to say I hate sexy art. I don't. I'm a massive fan of adult comics, but you want to moralize about something that's just an aesthetic thing. Like, yeah, they draw their women like they have body paint rather than spandex. Big fucking deal. That is an aesthetic choice. It's not a moral choice, and you're making it into a moral choice, and that's what people are pissed off at.
Mm-hmm. If I can tell at first
I can
glance,
tell at first glance that you've spent more time drawing a heroine's boobs than her fists. I know exactly where your priorities lie. Now, excuse me, I gotta go piss myself in the freaking closet while you guys deal with them. Seriously, Kate, you are the cowardly asshole. That's what you are. Who whines and expects other people to save her. That's your trope. You should be held to a standard of stoicism. I wish to God that sometime in the future women are held to that standard of stoicism. And if there was a Kate Leth in that future and she said, oh my God, you people are drawing your women with body paint instead of spandex, that's just wrong, people would be like, what? We don't really give a shit that much about your emotional landscape, lady. Shut the fuck up, get a fucking gun, and let's fight those goddamn xenomorphs.
yeah. And okay, so I'll go back here. She went on to talk about the difference between sexy and sexualized art, and then why overtly sexualized female.
Wait. No, I actually want to know, what is the difference?
V-neck. Wait, deep V on a dress, defined nipple through a uniform, right?
Okay, so.
Well, I mean, is it? If it looks like you spent more time drawing a heroine's boobs than her fists, I know exactly where your priorities lie. So would it be okay? So there are people who don't know how to draw boobs very well, and they may need to take extra time to do it. If they took extra time to draw boobs and they were trying to be like anatomically correct, that's sexist? Or would it be sexist if they just drew two globes and then spent a whole lot of time drawing the hands? I think both would be sexist, Kate.
Hands are hard.
Hands are very hard. Yes. Boobs can be tricky if you're not like considering gravity and stuff, but it all comes down to like, just using reference and
who gives
thinking about it or whatever. But even then, like if someone cuts corners, like nobody went to Picasso's paintings of women and said, the boobs don't look right.
Here's a clue, Kate Leth. Those women who would be attracted to exaggerated agency, aka superhero comics, aren't going to consider themselves victims of somebody's goddamn boob window.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Why overlit sexualized female characters could be off-putting to female readers. And if you want to draw naked ladies so bad, do it. But don't spray paint them green and then get mad when girls don't want to read the book.
They're not getting mad when girls don't want to. You guys are getting mad because girls don't want to read the book. I mean, the entire industry was trucking along just fine before feminists hit it like a plague of goddamn Genghis Khan gender warriors and started to sack Rome. Like, this is you guys. You guys are complaining about this shit.
Oh, it is. And you know what? Like, Kate, I don't care if people read my book or don't read my book. I don't think Frank Cho cares who reads his book or who doesn't read his book. It comes down to if you like it, you will read it. People who are so fragile and so like psychologically on edge because the art's not going to conform to their incredibly like moralistic quasi-Buddha standards of beauty, they are not people that you want to try to please. They're not worth it.
They're not pleasable, for one thing.
No, yeah, they're not pleasable.
I'm gonna run out of time here quick because my battery's going dead. But
okay.
I got about 16 minutes. Let's get through that last section, and I'll go get my thing with the thing that chords.
Okay. So,
right.
Want me to just keep going while you do that?
Okay. No. Let's do the last bit.
Okay.
And in closing, she also destroyed the butt. Male superheroes get objectified to our counter argument. Yeah, that's. But muscly male superheroes are the same thing. No, you know what's the same thing? Good old pal Tom of Finland. No, actually, Tom of Finland's clothing is, aside from the exaggerated penises, which, you know what, if Marvel wants to do exaggerated penises, good on them. Let them do that. It could be interesting. But regardless, Tom of Finland's clothing is actually less tight than the body paint that they put on male superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference is that they're not showing, the obvious bulge, like details of the bulge for superheroes.
Yeah.
And or actually that the superheroes are actually more scantily clad but they don't show the bulge necessarily.
Yeah, and they say mic drop like she made a point, but I'm sorry, Kate. Tits and dicks are not the same. They're not the same. So I'm okay with them putting dicks in comics if you want to do that, but then we also are going to get clams too, and I don't think you're going to be okay with that. So.
Yeah, that's and there is a proportionality there.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're right. If they were being completely accurate with the spray on, some of those poses that women are in would be a little bit more textured than they are
absolutely.
now. And the men's poses would be too, but they're not doing that because they probably don't want to get an X rating. So it's like, it's not a direct comparison.
Nope. Dicks and tits are not the same, Kate. And for someone who has gone through, apparently, is a little bit gay and has had both dick and tits, you probably would know the difference. But this isn't about equality for you. This is about standing on the moral high ground, shaming everybody else, and thinking that you've made an argument when you have not. Because if Marvel made comics like this, they wouldn't be for 13-year-olds. In the same way that if they basically had fucking zoom-ins on girls in panties with clam shots, that would also not be for 13-year-olds. Girls who are 13 can handle looking at tits. Can you? All right. Anyway, I mean, maybe I just have higher standards of like women's ability to look at other women and not be, not clutch their pearls. Mic drop. Kay, I definitely can't top this, so I'm actually done now. In closing, either draw Superman with massive wang or cut out boob socking. Thanks. Fuck you, Kate. You could have came on the show and like maybe been educated about the differences between primary sexual organs and secondary sexual organs. But instead, you want to stand there in your little echo chamber and talk about
compare. You want to compare obvious like genitals, like you want to compare
sexual reproductive organs to secondary reproductive organs and say that they are the same.
Yeah.
This is Kate Leth's Twitter. She has me blocked, so I can't.
Oh my God. Anyway, this is You know what? I'm going to. You are comparing apples and oranges. I'm a little bit like I had to run and get my frickin' cord, but you are comparing apples to oranges. Penises and vulvas are not boobs and pecs, no matter how much you wish they were. And the direct comparison would be if they're doing an image of, I don't know, some female superhero with her crotch in her face, that you can see everything. You can see the beef curtains waving in the wind.
Here's what I don't get, and I know that this is like you've already said this when you talked about the body paint thing. How come this obsession with reality, with realism in comics, is ruining comics? It is destroying the creativity, because before, when I was a kid, and probably like well up until the 90s, nobody asked, what are those made of? How does that work? They just were like, oh, I like those colors. I like that pattern. It was about colors and patterns, and it was cool. That was it. There was no, oh man, what is that made of? Is that leather, or is that, because silk doesn't behave that way. Leather doesn't behave. Nobody brought fashion design into comics until these feminists showed up. Or at least people who wanted to try to shame the industry in some way. It was just about the colors. Nobody cared. And that bugs me. Like, how do we know it's spandex? We don't know what it's made of. It's fucking fantasy. Nobody, like, we can't escape anymore. This obsession with reality and realism, it's fucking stupid. Oh, here's, I guess she has boob socks. I don't know. Some cosplayers have...
Wait, go back up. And here's a human woman in a skin-tight costume. Not every woman is skinny with are you being a bitch? That is a fairly well-shapely woman there. Like, not everyone is a skinny woman with a small bust.
No, I think that this guy was making an argument against this because she was expressing that she had a problem with the fact that Spider
Oh,
Woman
I see what it
is a busty, thin woman or a busty and curvy woman in the way that they draw her, and so this guy was like, well, actually, here's a real woman, and
is.
she's
Pretty
got
much.
a body that's pretty close to what they did, and then of course here comes Derek Gooder, who literally looks like a knight, to the rescue on his steed. That's tailored for that look, though. I think it's more that it's skin tight is not an explanation for boob socks.
Well, I think it's more like she can't get away with body paint in a comic book convention. Like,
No, but I mean, like she's filling that out pretty well.
yeah. Well, but
Yeah,
here's the thing.
there's a discussion going on.
You said that this is like a woman clucking over. This isn't. These people are fucking barbarians. Beaton and Kate Leth, these women are barbarians. They are the barbarian hordes. And if you need any more example, and people will understand that when they realize that morality is a weapon. It's a weapon of war. And these women are wielding it like thugs and mercenaries, moral mercenaries to get their way and to subjugate other people, abjectly subjugate them. And when we have an understanding that this moral crap is exactly the same as a weapon or a punch to the face, at least in terms of social ostracization and all the other crap that they put on people's head when they decide that you're out of the group, when we realize that, we are going to see them for what they are. These are thugs.
Mm-hmm.
These are fucking marauding thugs who are trying to take over groups. They're trying to take over communities and piss all over them and throw their weight around and bully people and shove them to the ground and make them feel like shit in the process, like they're the ones who are wrong. Oh yeah, telling me not to punch you in the face? What a misogynist! Jesus Christ. And the fact that people don't even see this for what it is. It is moral marauding.
Mm-hmm.
People are fucking moral marauders. And they get off on extorting compliance out of others. They're pirates. And incidentally, despite the fact that I've said that they're a thug, they're also cowards. Because I'm going to say something about Kate and Leth. I'm going to actually judge. I'm going to use my strong female role model for Kate Leth and Kate Beaton. Okay, do I think they can throw a punch? No. Do I think that they know how to fight out of a choke? No. Do I think that they can actually use a rifle? No. And even more importantly, do I think that they can keep the eye on the ball when everything's going to shit? No. They're going to be the ones who are whining and complaining. They are the irritating cowards who always get eaten by the T-Rex. Because they're the ones who are going to be whining and complaining when the shit hits the fan. Because all they do is see themselves as victims. That's it. These are terrible female role models for girls. Terrible. And yet we let them, and our society lets them take center stage. And our society lets them take center stage because they are terrible role models. Because our society finds girls more useful on their fucking knees.
Yep.
So thank you, Kate Leth. Thank you, Kate Beaton, for role modeling victimhood for a newer generation of girls and telling them that they should even think of themselves as victims of somebody's goddamn artistic expression. Thank you. Thank you for making the world worse for girls. Thank you. And why don't we find out what these moral marauders, what their ultimate goal is? Let's talk about Coup. Let's talk about what happened to Coup.
So, Coup, Rio, let me just find the story here. So, sorry about this. Just give me a second. I'm actually working on I just started working on a Spider-Woman posed Squirrel Girl. But while I'm at that,
I'm not gonna stick around for you to draw that.
That's fine.
Or I can leave, or are you just gonna keep going?
No, I'm just trying to find.
Oh, I see. You're explaining what the cherry is there.
It's not a chair. Hey.
I just said the
um,
cherry, the fruit. You know, like a stem with little.
no, I know, I know. I guess gotta find Koo on Facebook here.
I sent it through here. It's in the
Oh,
side
you
chat
got
there.
the. Okay,
Yeah,
good, good. Thank you.
yeah. You see, we don't actually
Yeah.
have a control board. We do everything on the fly. That's why you get to listen to us organize shit.
All
You can't
right.
open it?
So no, I'm looking at it. DeviantArt has suspended my Cuckoo
I'm
Reel
not
made a
seeing. I'm
tweet.
still
I'll
seeing. Hey,
share.
hey, Brian,
Yeah,
slow down.
I'm gonna share the screen.
Yes, good.
Um, it's right here on Twitter.
So
Okay.
this is the ultimate goal of these moral marauders.
Yeah.
Okay.
DeviantArt has suspended my account for a drawing of Mrs. Marvel as a 20-year-old. What fuck the? Can this get more stupid? The works listed below have been removed by staff due to a violation of DeviantArt policy or because its theme or content was judged unacceptable. Your DeviantArt submissions must obey certain guidelines and restrictions. If you are uncertain why the submission was removed, or if you have any questions or believe that this removal to be an error, please contact the DeviantArt help desk.
Okay, just for some context,
Koo.
Ku, I'll just use Ku because I'm not going to be able to pronounce the rest of his name, created or did a drawing of Miss Marvel at 13, which was, or 16, sorry, which was partially naked. And people complained, and they complained following his nomination for a Hugo Award for his, I think, his drawing of Vivian and the Sad Puppies. And they complained, and I think he got that pulled, or he had his advertising revenue through Project Wonderful pulled.
Mm-hmm.
Because people were offended by that 16-year-old partially naked girl. And then he redrew her, and he said, this is her at 20 years old. So he very clearly labeled this particular woman. You can see, physically different, that she looks a lot more mature, although at 16 she wasn't really not mature, but anyway, she obviously is well over the age of puberty in his second drawing. And that drawing got pulled. And essentially what this is those moral marauders like Kate Beaton and Kate Leth have decided that Ku they're basically targeting Ku, and they're going to harass him off the internet because he's drawn something that they don't approve of. This is their end goal. Their end goal is complete and utter supremacy. Of course, what's interesting about barbarians is that when they end up taking over an empire, what they end up doing is destroying, pissing on everything, raping everything. This is what the feminists are going to do. They're going to just destroy everything, rape everything, piss all over everything, and then they're going to leave a smoking crater and eventually kill each other. Because that's what happens when marauders take over an empire. They don't know how to fucking run an empire. All they know how to do is maraud. So they just keep marauding, and they just keep schisming. So once the empire is taken over, Marauder Tribe A starts fighting Marauder Tribe B over some sort of minuscule slight that happened 20 years ago. And then when Marauder Tribe A kills Marauder Tribe B, Marauder Tribe A splits down the middle because A1 and A2, and they fight over some stupid slight until everybody's fucking dead. That's what feminist marauders, moral marauders will end up doing. They'll take over a community, they will piss and rape and destroy everything in it, and then they will piss on and rape and destroy each other. And then all that's left is a fucking black crater. And the only thing that is going to stop these women, the only thing, is men's rights. And I'm going to explain why eventually.
All right, I'm curious about that.
Okay. The weapon that these women use is, of course, women's victimhood. The only cure to an asymmetrical... So they present women as unique victims of shit. Often shit that is just a human issue, like harassment on the internet, like rape, like domestic violence. They present women as unique victims of it. And they use that as a moral bludgeon to get what they want. But if you have context, they can't use it as a moral bludgeon. Because there's a fundamental difference in our mind, and it's unfortunate, but it's true about human beings, between saying women are a victim of this subculture because they're women, and saying this subculture is sort of rough around the edges and it victimizes men and women. The second statement it can't be used as a moral bludgeon. It just can't. It's too much. It puts us into our rational state too much. You have to strip male victimhood from an issue in order to use it as a moral bludgeon, as a moral weapon, in order to exert your will on a group. As soon as male victimhood's in the picture, we're immediately more rational about the issue. So, men's rights, men's vulnerabilities, men's victimhood will totally tame these savage barbarians. Well, it won't tame them, but it'll take their weapons away. Because if they're faced with a community that's, when they're coming in with their huge fucking broad axes and they're frothing at the mouth like berserkers, oh, the women, misogyny, you're looking at them and they're like fucking terrifying, and you say, but what about the men? You're actually taking their weapons away, which is why they're so horrified by it. They want to mock it and make it seem ridiculous to do it, because you are taking their weapon away. They will no longer, you are cutting their moral marauding off at the knees. Gone are their axes. They're gone. And they have to actually bring reason to the table. They have to actually, they don't have that power anymore. That's why they hate, that's why they made the phrase, what about the men's? Because it's like saying what about the men's is like shaming peasants for touching a sword. Of course the marauders are going to shame peasants for touching a sword, because that's the way you fight back. And that these women, and women and men are no different than thugs and pirates and barbarians. They're no different. They are fucking Genghis Khan and the Gauls and fucking Vikings without any honor. That's what they are. They're raiders and pirates and thieves. And berserkers and mercenaries. That's what they are. And of course they're going to tell you, you peasants, you don't touch those weapons. You don't, no, what about the men's? It's ridiculous. You should be ashamed to say that. Of course they're going to do that. Because they don't want you to be able to effectively fight back. And men's rights is the context that takes their weapons away. I mean, you throw that up and it's gone. I mean, if we had a culture in which someone started yipping or started screaming, berserking out over some misogyny, and we were like, well, wait a second, what's the situation for men? This stuff wouldn't happen. Coup wouldn't be chased off the internet. Comics artists wouldn't be threatened by these individuals wanting to control their expression. So ultimately, what's really ironic about this whole thing is that men's issues, men's vulnerabilities, and the recognition of those things is going to be possibly the best thing that'll ever happen to artists. Because it'll take away these moral witch hunts that artists end up being in. You notice this? It's always artists in the crosshairs of these people. Nazis.
Yep.
Artists were in their crosshairs. Feminists. Artists are in their crosshairs. Communists, like I don't say the communism is necessary or socialism or whatever, but I'm not against. I don't want to get into that, but any kind of ideological regime, who's the first to get in their crosshairs? Artists.
Yep.
This is no different, but we can stop it finally because we have the tools. You know, when somebody's like, "Oh, but what about Aryan, Jewish men raping Aryan women?" We can say, "Well, what about what's happening to Jewish men?" But except in this case, it's, what about men raping women? And we can say, well, what's happening to men? And then that stops. That stops it in its tracks. In the first instance, it would have stopped the whole crazy spiral to the bottom that ended up with people dead. With Jewish men and Jewish women, Jewish children, everyone dead. In this case, it can stop this fucking marauding. And I don't know if anybody fucking understands me, but that's what I think, and I'm going to fucking stop.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, I agree. They went after artists first because artists speak truth to power. And that's the difference between artists and propagandists anyway. The propagandists are the ones that they allow past because they're gonna feed the narrative. The artists are the ones that are the rebels. They're the ones that nobody wants. These people don't want to give voice to. They want to shame them. They want to make it seem ridiculous that you would even entertain what entertain what they have to say, you know, despite the fact that they might be offensive. I mean, look at Charlie Hebdo as an
Can I
example.
just add one thing, quick?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it's artists and the intellectuals, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Anybody who can conceptualize outside of the box.
Yeah, we're not excluding intellectuals here.
Yeah, I know that, but I just thought I'd bring it up.
Okay. No, we're not excluding intellectuals. The person talking is one of our patrons. So we thought we would do this surprise stream and bring some of our patrons on.
Considering what else is on DeviantArt, Kokura suspension is ridiculous.
Oh yes, like you can find.
DeviantArt is a cesspit.
DeviantArt is a cesspit, and it's like you can find balls down pedophilia on DeviantArt. You can find Shota on DeviantArt, which is like boy sex for women, and they haven't. This is a witch hunt.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah, that's what this is.
This is a witch hunt, and like I said, sorry, go ahead, Dana.
And another thing, they do like video game characters and comic book characters nude in lesbian scenes and a lot of different fan fictions.
Yeah.
I've seen.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is a witch hunt. Ku has just basically run afoul of the wrong people, and so he's going to be hounded out.
Look at all the straight women drawing all this.
Sorry?
All the male slash fic. It's just like, yeah, you got no grounds, you got no leg to stand on at all.
No, and it's not that you want to get rid of. I personally don't want to get rid of their ability to draw or write slash fic, but apply it equally.
Can we have some? Come on, consistency here.
Yeah, consistency. Don't make it obviously about the politics. And no, this isn't politics. Like, men's rights is not politics, or men's issues. I guess men's rights is politics, but recognizing and talking about men's issues is not politics. We are not taking away the idea that women can be victims. We're saying that we are contextualizing women's victimhood in the context of men's victimhood, which, as I've said in previous solo efforts, it's really women's victimhood, this belief that women are victims because they're women, that's so useful as a moral crusading weapon. But having said that, I think it's time. It's time.
All right,
Tony.
time. We're going to wrap it up.
Thanks for coming on, Tony and Dana, and chatting with us. Sorry, we got really feisty.
No, it's okay. Thanks for joining us on this random and spontaneous episode of Ermahgerd, but
thanks for bringing up Tom of Finland.
Oh yeah, and by the way, about the whole, like, it's, drawing a female like as a 16-year-old, I don't know, is bad or whatever. Have you guys ever heard of Betty and Veronica? Because the Archie Comics drew those girls as pretty sexualized for their time, and it was actually quite common. So is it time to ban that shit too? And I will show you. This is a totally innocuous comic cover of Betty and Veronica. So should we ban this? Do we need to get this banned now? And they've been doing this shit since like the 40s and 50s. So
Brian, that went by pretty quick. Can you put it up again, please?
It's still up.
It's still up.
I haven't taken it down. It probably just takes a moment.
Yeah, that's like they're in little bikinis, and this is and they're underage too because they're still in high school.
Still in high school. So do we need to get rid of this? This is the level of puritanical thinking that these people are trying to exercise here.
Yep.
That something like Betty and Veronica or Sabrina the Teenage Witch would actually have to fall into their crosshairs by their logic. So, all right.
I'll do some final thoughts and then we can finish this thing. Okay, so men's rights, men's issues, and recognition of men's issues and men's rights, that is the shield that is going to protect artists in this day and age from these moral marauders who use women's issues as a way to extort compliance and enable censorship. So, seriously, what we're doing here is big. And it's going to help a lot of people be able to express themselves the way they want to. And it's not just morally right to recognize it when men have vulnerabilities. It also helps artists. It's also going to help artists. It's also going to help shield them from censorship. Because when someone comes out with, what about the women's, you can say, what about the men's? And if we care, then that completely removes that weapon as a weapon of censorship. So support us, www.patreon.com/honeybadgerradio. It's more than men's rights. It's also artists' rights and creators' rights and free speech and an end to censorship. So, booyah.